Chapter 3467. Ning Shu felt that he had to change the sofa. Why was she so naughty? Ning Shu saw that he couldn't delete the post, so he didn't bother to do so. He said to the little devil, "I'll take you back." The little devil said, "I don't want to go back now." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Why not? Aren't you on good terms with His Excellency? Did you have a conflict?" Ning Shu had thought that the two of them were inseparable, like Siamese twins who were reluctant to be separated. Ning Shu was a little surprised that the little devil didn't want to go back. "No, it's just that the world of reincarnation is too boring. His Excellency plants flowers and then lets me eat souls. When he's free, he takes me to see the souls in the world of reincarnation." "My eyes hurt." Ning Shu asked, "Why does he want you to observe souls?" His Excellency said, "He wants me to observe everything, starting from the most basic thing, human beings." Ning Shu asked, "What did you observe?" He didn't expect His Excellency to teach the little devil like this. The little devil said, "Nothing. After seeing too much, I feel that I've been through a lot. Human beings are too complicated." "Where are we going next?" The little devil looked at Ning Shu expectantly, like a naughty child who was free from her parents. Ning Shu smiled. "Of course, to send you back to the world of reincarnation. His Excellency has asked several times." "No, I want to play for a while." The little devil lied on the sofa. "If you insist on sending me back, I'll tell His Excellency that you mistreated me, hit me, pinched me, scalded me with boiling water, and slapped me." Ning Shu was speechless. "Don't worry, I'll do all these to you." Ning Shu was unhappy that he didn't get any treasures. If the little devil made a fuss now, Ning Shu would really beat her. The little devil said, "You're really vicious. All women have a vicious side." Ning Shu said, "Men are not vicious. We're all human beings. What's the difference? Men and women?" Since the Abyssal Prefect had lost his soul energy, he would have to go on a mission, and he didn't want to take care of the child. Since the Abyssal Prefect wanted to take care of the child so badly, he decided to leave the child to him. Other than being a little cocky, the little devil had no other problems. He was very proud. The little devil sat up from the sofa and looked at Ning Shu with her clear eyes. "Don't you feel guilty? It's fine if you used me, but now that you don't need me anymore, you immediately throw me away. Is it so hard for you to take me out to play? Don't think I don't know that you're trying to use me. Everyone knows what's going on. We have to be more honest." "Ning Shu. Then what do you want to see?" "I will take a look at the world of samsara where I was born." The little devil shook her head. "I don't want to see the gray world of reincarnation. It's like I'm colorblind. Let's go to a world with more brilliant colors." That was the world of living beings. Then he would go to the 9-Palace Mountain. He couldn't go to ordinary worlds. Just think of it as going to see that girl. "Why did you come to the world of reincarnation again?" The little devil looked at the world of reincarnation and felt a headache. Ning Shu brought the little devil to the second level of the 9-Palace Mountain. "There's actually another world in your world of reincarnation?" The little devil was very curious. She followed behind Ning Shu and looked around with her clear eyes. Ning Shu stood outside the house. There were many vegetables planted around the house. There was also a garden that was blooming with colorful flowers. It was very warm and full of smoke and fire. Ning Shu heard a child speaking in a childish voice. After not coming here for a while, the child could speak clearly. The little devil heard the child's voice and asked directly, "You really lose your child everywhere." Ning Shu didn't want to speak, although this was the truth. Ning Shu brought the little devil into the house and saw a child about 5 years old talking to a snake-like earthworm. The mission of guarding the world really took up a lot of time. The child was already so big. When the girl saw Ning Shu and the little devil, she was very vigilant and hid behind the earthworm. "Is there a thief?" Ning Shu squatted down to touch her head, but the girl directly dodged. She curiously stared at the little devil. Probably because the little devil was slightly older than her, she was very curious about the little devil of the same age. Ning Shu brought the two children to the town to buy some things. Since the little devil wanted to stroll in a world with color, she didn't eat anything. The little devil basically didn't eat human food. Candied haws and snacks, the little devil disliked them while eating them. Ning Shu bought a lot of hair ornaments and clothes for the little girl. He also bought some small jewelry and small bells. When she walked, they jingled. The little devil and the little girl also became familiar with each other. The two children often whispered to each other. Speaking of this child, she still didn't have a name. Ning Shu didn't plan to give her a name. He would let the earthworm give her a name. After all, she was raised by the earthworm. Ning Shu bought a big bag of things back. The earthworm asked the little girl if she was tired. It was like a parent talking to a child who had gone far away. It hadn't even been half a day. The earthworm was too exaggerated. Since they had been strolling for so long, Ning Shu should send the little devil back. If they didn't go back, His Excellency would probably explode. The little girl asked the little devil in a childish voice when she would come to play again. The little devil glanced at Ning Shu. "I don't know. I'll come and find you when I'm free. Then you must come and play with me." The two children were reluctant to part. No, it was the little girl who was reluctant to part. In the little devil's eyes, this human girl was a lowly creature. Ning Shu brought the little devil back to the system space. The chat system was ringing nonstop. Needless to say, it was His Excellency who sent the little devil back. Ning Shu opened the chat system. The message was from His Excellency, but it wasn't to send the children back. It was about the world of nothingness. He said that he could go to the world of nothingness again. This time, there was a way. Ning Shu was speechless. Why was His Excellency so enthusiastic? Ning Shu said, "There's no solution to this world for now. There's no need to go." "His Excellency, if there's no end to this world, are you going to keep him?" Ning Shu immediately glanced at the little devil. Did His Excellency think that she was holding the little devil to threaten His Excellency? She didn't think that way. But His Excellency obviously thought the wrong way. But this was good for her. Ning Shu asked, "What's the solution?" His Excellency was also an old monster. He must have a way. Furthermore, from the looks of it, the Abyssal Prefect seemed to be implying that if the treasure were to be found, it would belong to him. Or was His Excellency also interested in the things in this world? Anyway, he would go. Even if he didn't get any benefits, he could at least see it. He didn't want to take the little devil with him before, but now, well, it was better to take the little devil with him. Ning Shu said to the little devil, "His Excellency is really good to you." He was obviously such a cold person, but he treated the little devil differently from others. Chapter 3468. Ning Shu now felt like he was holding the emperor to order his vassals. His Excellency thought that she was holding the little devil captive. She didn't, so she just took the little devil to walk around. After a while, she would send the little devil back to His Excellency's palace. But His Excellency obviously misunderstood and thought that she was holding the little devil captive, so he had no choice but to satisfy her request and explore that world again. Ning Shu. In all honesty, she really didn't think so. But isn't that a lucky hit? Sure enough, when people cared about people or things, they would have weaknesses and strengths. His Excellency was such an indifferent and aloof yaksha. But now he compromised for this little radish head. Looking at the little devil who was still playing happily, he felt that she was really heartless. Hearing Ning Shu say that His Excellency was good to her, the little devil raised her chin elegantly. "That's right, His Excellency has always been good to me, unlike you." Ning Shu was silent for a moment and said, "In this world, no one has the obligation to be good to you, even your parents." The little devil was stunned for a moment. "Of course I know, I'm also very good to His Excellency." Ning Shu said, "Oh, let's go, we still have to go to that world." Since His Excellency had such a request, of course he had to satisfy him. Ning Shu and the little fiend appeared at the spatial node with a smile on their faces. The Abyssal Prefect was waiting there. His Excellency glanced at the little devil, and then glanced at Ning Shu indifferently. Ning Shu pretended that he didn't see anything. It was normal for His Excellency to be resentful. The little devil ran to His Excellency, stretched out her hand to hold his hand, and said cutely, "I haven't seen you for a while, I really miss you." This was what she learned from an anthropologist. She was a child, so it was normal for her to express her feelings unscrupulously. His Excellency's face didn't change, and he was indifferent to the little devil's words. I asked you to observe human beings, but you didn't learn anything else, but you learned to be a hypocrite. Did you really miss me? Human beings are used to saying one thing and thinking another. The most complicated thing in the world is a human's mouth. The little devil nodded repeatedly. Of course, I miss you very much. The palace lord looked down at the little demoness. Since you want to, why don't you go to the samsara world? The little fiend's head drooped. She took me around the world of living beings. I was just curious. It's not like you can't go to the living world. Just tell me. Ning Shu coughed. His abyssal prefect really wanted to tie the little devil to his belt and take her wherever he went. Abyssal prefects were the good guys, while everyone else was the bad guys. Ning Shu said, I think it's better not to overprotect him. Let him experience the outside world. He will be fine after experiencing more. Abyssal prefect, why do we have to go through all this? There's no need to go through all this. Strength is more useful than anything else. Wasn't it tiring to learn from all the tripping and hitting? What was the point? There was no need for him to learn to be cunning. He only needed to look at these people from a high position, like a clown jumping around. The abyssal prefect was rather amused. You humans actually think that experiencing such things is an honor? Ning Shu choked. Then just think of it as having no choice but to experience such things. Just like the AQ spirit of suffering losses is a blessing, it's just used to comfort yourself. That's why humans are weak and pitiful. They don't know what to do for their entire lives. There was always a taller mountain. Once you had something, you would want to have more of it. There was no end to it. People were greedy. Ning Shu was expressionless. He knew that the abyssal prefect was unhappy, so he was mocking her and the entire human race. Even the abyssal prefect knew how to eat souls to strengthen himself. Could it be that humans didn't make ends meet? All living beings only had two instincts, survival and reproduction. Ning Shu said, Why are you mocking your own food for no reason? Isn't this showing that you have no taste? He was born to eat souls. Wasn't he disdaining his own food? The abyssal prefect said, There are good and bad ingredients. Ning Shu, the abyssal prefect's resentment was unusually deep. Ning Shu didn't want to discuss such profound human nature with the abyssal prefect at all. He said directly, We'll be wrapped in bubbles again when we go in this time. The explosion of the bubbles was very strong for Ning Shu and ordinary mission enforcers, but it probably didn't affect the abyssal prefect and the little demon. They were just constantly wrapped in bubbles. It was like soaking in water without any support. It was very uncomfortable. The abyssal prefect held the little demon's hand and said lightly, I've already thought of a way. All right, as long as you've thought of a way, Ning Shu didn't ask about it. However, she was really curious about the situation of this world. She asked, What's going on with this world? The abyssal prefect said, It should be the birthplace of a deformed plane. The time of its birth is relatively short, and it was destroyed very quickly. It can't be connected to the world of reincarnation. Ning Shu. So, deformed things couldn't survive for long. Although it was deformed, it was still diligently making bubbles. However, what was the use of such a deformed thing? It was still useful. Once those bubbles were created, they could trap people inside. When they burst, it was equivalent to a world exploding. The power was not small. Ning Shu asked, Then what's the solution this time? Just walk in the cracks. Ning Shu said, Cracks in the plains. These bubbles were things without roots. They floated with the wind, just like bubbles. The only difference was that there was a world inside. The abyssal prefect didn't explain further. Obviously, he didn't want to talk to Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't care about the abyssal prefect's attitude. She was the emperor, so she allowed them to have emotions. Ning Shu reached out and held the little demon's hand. The little demon reflexively wanted to shake off Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu snorted and looked at him. The little demon didn't shake off his hand. There were gaps between planes. These gaps were very mysterious. Even if normal planes were connected by star stones, there were still gaps between them. The cracks in the middle were strange and variegated. They were like auroras. They were colorful and gave people a feeling of space-time disorder. After entering the world, the Abyssal Prefect walked at the front. Ning Shu held the little demon's hand and walked at the back. The spatial cracks made people's 5 senses chaotic. After entering, it was more or less impossible to get out. It was Ning Shu's first time entering a crack between planes. He held the little demon's hand tightly. The little demon turned around and glanced at Ning Shu. He raised his chin. "Seeing that you are so scared, I will allow you to hold my hand." Ning Shu nodded. "Thank you, little young master." He really couldn't be careless in here. The little demon snorted. He had a mocking look on his face, but he grabbed Ning Shu's hand. Chapter 3469. Ning Shu didn't know how long they had been walking in here. There was no danger in here, only some spatial storms and spatial collapses. In fact, for people who were familiar with the laws of space, they could avoid any problems, especially when the one opening the way was an Abyssal Prefect. It was good to be strong. They could go wherever they wanted. It couldn't be any better. After walking for a long time, the 3 of them didn't speak. It was very boring. After all, it would be bad if the space collapsed because of sound. The Abyssal Prefect in front finally stopped, and the 2 behind him also stopped. In front of the 3 of them, there was a fist-sized colorful bead. The bead was colorful, and countless bubbles were emerging from the bead. The bead wasn't big, only the size of a fist, and the bubbles were also very small. However, these bubbles grew bigger and bigger, and all kinds of creatures and scenes were derived from them, and they were all real. Then, the short life of these bubbles ended, and they exploded with a bang. Just like the bubbles, they disappeared. Ning Shu stared at the colorful bead for a long time, and felt that it was very dazzling. It contained a lot of energy. Ning Shu wanted to touch it, but the Abyssal Prefect didn't touch it. She didn't have enough skills, so Ning Shu stayed put. This thing seemed to have some energy, but she didn't know if the Abyssal Prefect wanted it. The Abyssal Prefect stretched out his hand, and one of his arms turned into a huge yaksha claw. It was green and black, and it looked very scary. It was such a small bead, and the Abyssal Prefect had a hard time holding it in his hand. It was like a small ant carrying a can of gas. After all, this was a world that was born, and it was normal for it to be a little heavy. The bead bubbled, and more bubbles were born. The bead was probably fighting back. Ning Shu grabbed the little demon's hand, and the little demon grabbed the corner of the Abyssal Prefect's clothes. She looked at the Abyssal Prefect silently, and didn't disturb him. The Abyssal Prefect held the bead, and there were hideous veins on his huge arm. Those veins were very thick, even bigger than the trunk of a 1,000-year-old tree. One could imagine how big the Abyssal Prefect's body was. Under the elegant tuxedo was a huge and ferocious body. After the Abyssal Prefect grabbed the bead, he shrunk his arm and a bead the size of a pellet appeared in his hand. Now that the pearl was under the control of the Abyssal Prefect, there was no way it could appear again. With a flash, Ning Shu and the other 2 left the world. Ning Shu stared at the Abyssal Prefect's hand and asked, "Do you want this bead?" The Abyssal Prefect didn't say anything. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and pulled the little devil to his side. He said to the little devil, "If you have nothing to do, you have to go back to our world of reincarnation." The world of reincarnation is connected to 5 other worlds. Sometimes there will be too many souls. You have to come back to deal with them. The little devil raised his chin. He was used to looking down on people. Now that he was being begged by Ning Shu, he didn't try to be pretentious and arrogant. The Abyssal Prefect spoke up, "The world isn't that big. You can't even handle such a small amount of soul energy? Don't you need soul power? If there are too many souls in the world, you can just deal with them. This is the benefit of the world of reincarnation." The Abyssal Prefect reached out his hand and handed the bead to Ning Shu. "It's just a deformed thing. You don't need to be so calculative." Ning Shu laughed in his heart. "Aren't you also calculating?" But the little devil was the bargaining chip. "The child is still young. Don't disturb him. Let him grow up well. Don't be short-sighted and bother others with some inexplicable things." Ning Shu nodded in agreement. "You're right. Children should be like this. Grow up well and study well. Ning Shu didn't reach out to take the bead. He asked, "Is it heavy?" "I have sealed the energy inside." "Sealed?" "No, to be exact, I have taken away 90% of the energy." Ning Shu was stunned. If 90% of the energy was taken away, then the bead would become an empty shell. The abyssal prefect grinned. "Are you sure the energy is still there and you can carry it?" Ning Shu immediately said, "Thank you very much." Ning Shu took the colorful bead. Although the bead was now an empty shell, Ning Shu still staggered. It was too damn heavy. Although he didn't know if this thing was still useful, it was still something that had tortured him for a long time. If he had nothing to do, he could just put it on the bookshelf as an ornament. The bead had no energy and could no longer blow bubbles. Ning Shu and the little devil separated. Ning Shu still wanted to say something to the little devil, but the abyssal prefect held onto the little devil's head and didn't want to leave. In the blink of an eye, the abyssal prefect disappeared, leaving Ning Shu alone in the void. Ning Shu smacked his lips. The abyssal prefect really didn't want to give up the child's custody. The abyssal prefect led the little devil to another part of the void. In this part of the void, there was a vast and boundless law of nothingness. It was wrapped in an unknown number of star stones. One was lying in the law of nothingness, suffering the pain of being devoured by the law of nothingness. Beside the law of nothingness stood the black-clothed Grand Elder. The girl who had accompanied the abyssal prefect to talk to him felt bored in the end. Right, she seemed to be called Mijia. In the beginning, she could still talk nicely, but in the end, she bitterly wanted to leave. Her eyes were full of fear and complaint. So annoying. The abyssal prefect thought of a way to break the barrier that imprisoned Mijia and finally succeeded in swallowing this annoying, chattering thing. But after swallowing this soul, the abyssal prefect felt a little uncomfortable. It felt like he had eaten an insect egg, and then the insect egg hatched in his body and was devouring his power. So, the Grand Elder did it on purpose. The abyssal prefect glanced at the abyssal prefect in the law of nothingness and walked straight to the Grand Elder. The little devil stared at the abyssal prefect in the law of nothingness with great curiosity. Why was this person lying in the water? The Grand Elder glanced at the abyssal prefect and then looked at the abyssal prefect. The abyssal prefect took out a crystal ball. There was surging power in the crystal ball. "I found a deformed thing in a world of nothingness. At least it has some power. Take it and use it." The Grand Elder didn't say anything and accepted it. The abyssal prefect in the law of nothingness sneered. "Some people can't recognize reality. It's over, it's over. Struggling on the verge of death is really ugly. Can't you face death with ease? Can you live your last days with ease? All of you are sick, very sick." The abyssal prefect was a little breathless as he spoke. After all, the pain of being devoured by the law of nothingness existed every minute and every second. His voice was full of sarcasm and malice. It was better for everyone to die together than for him to die alone. Chapter 3470. Although Zheng Qing's words were unpleasant and filled with sarcasm, Grand Uncle and His Excellency didn't take it to heart at all. The more they struggled, the more afraid they were. Zheng Qing was like a rooster about to be slaughtered, struggling with all his might, but it was useless. Zheng Qing said that others were struggling on their deathbed, but wasn't he struggling on his deathbed too? On the other hand, Little Fiend looked at Zheng Qing curiously. It was the first time they met. Zheng Qing hated these people looking at him like that the most. His face was filled with sarcasm. "Even if you really have to sacrifice me to help you, you can live on." He laughed out loud. "Don't worry, I will definitely endure until the Law Sea collapses. If I can see the Law Sea collapsing, then I won't die in vain." When Zheng Qing talked about the Law Sea, it was as if the Law Sea wasn't the place that gave birth to him. He yearned for it and wished it would collapse now. Little Fiend was confused, not understanding what these adults were talking about. However, he didn't speak and listened obediently. His Excellency was very cold to Zheng Qing in the law of nothingness and ignored him. He just said to Grand Uncle, "I'm leaving." Senior Grand Uncle nodded and took the lead to leave. His Excellency was about to leave with Little Fiend when Zheng Qing's voice sounded faintly, "Excellency, Seeing me like this, don't you have anything to say? His Excellency, no. Zheng Qing's face turned red from anger. He mocked. The first time is fine, but the second time, there's a limit to how much you can bully others. His Excellency was very cold. Yes, I'm bullying you. Zheng Qing took a deep breath and endured the pain. What's the point of bullying others with numbers? You can bully others with numbers too, but do you have anyone? His Excellency was very straightforward. You live a carefree life, you don't need to do anything. Of course, no one will help you. Ha ha. Zheng Qing laughed until tears flowed. You're just a group of villains who want to drag out an ignoble existence and sacrifice others. Do you really think that if I die, you can live on? The Law Sea is going to collapse. Sooner or later it will collapse. His Excellency, at least will die later than you. His Excellency never thought of taking Zheng Qing's feelings into consideration, so his words were very heart-wrenching. There was no need for him to be affectionate. His Excellency led Little Fiend away, ignoring Zheng Qing, who had turned the law of nothingness upside down and caused waves. Zheng Qing's sullen growl was thrown to the back of his mind. Fiend's Excellency, His Excellency looked at His Excellency looked at him. If you have anything to ask, ask. There were two. His Excellency didn't know how His Excellency. His Excellency, his Excellency, his master. His to kill test his filled filts. His, indeed. The Abyssal Prefect nodded. The little devil asked again, is he the only one who can do it? His. Why does it have to be him when everyone else can? His. He, us was to have it, sure's with him's his. Yes, he is powerless to resist. The Abyssal Prefect said to the little fiend devil, if you don't want to be dominated by others, then you have to be strong. But he isn't weak. The little fiend was puzzled. Such a huge body, how could he be weak? He's not weak, but he's alone. Oh, the little devil replied. Do you always have a say in everything? The Abyssal Prefect shook his head. No, it's the strong who have the most say. No matter how many ants there are, it's useless. The little devil asked. He lost because he had fewer people? No, he won't do anything. No matter what, he has to do something to have value. So, now is the time for him to show his value. Is it because he's lazy? The Abyssal Prefect pondered for a moment. Perhaps it's because he's lazy. He's too lazy to do this or that. The little devil still didn't understand. To punish him? Abyssal Prefect, no, it's the interest of the majority. The little devil seemed to understand, but she was still confused. So many people want him dead? The Abyssal Prefect shook his head. Death isn't the point. What's important is the hope that this person brings. The little devil was confused. She straightforwardly concluded, so they want to sacrifice him for everyone? The Abyssal Prefect, yes, this is the interest of the majority. The little devil shook her head like an old man. I don't want my fate to be arranged by others. The Abyssal Prefect, so you can't be lazy in the future, do you understand? The Abyssal Prefect touched the little devil's head and narrowed his long and narrow eyes. Ning Shu took the colorful bead back to the system space. Now this bead was like a marble, it seemed to be useless. The power inside had been sucked away. She was really too naive. She was definitely holding the emperor to order the nobles. But in the end, that wasn't the case at all. The Abyssal Prefect also took a fancy to this thing. He gave her an empty shell. Ning Shu didn't have anything to complain about. At least he still had a marble to play with. If there was no Abyssal Prefect, he probably wouldn't even have a marble to play with. At least he had figured out the situation of that world. These worlds of nothingness were really magical. Ning Shu threw the bead into the potted plant of green lotus water, which made the green lotus look even more beautiful. It was full of colorful lights. The chat system dinged. Ning Shu opened it and saw that it was from the little devil. Little devil, don't call me if there's nothing. I want to study hard and improve every day. Ning Shu, what happened to her? But Ning Shu still replied, then study hard and cultivate. Since the little devil was so desperate, Of course he had to support her. Ning Shu also didn't want to take a snobbish child around. Not to mention others, even Ning Shu wanted to hit her a little. But it would be too ungentlemanly to argue with a child. She was an eyesore, so it was better not to look at her. Ning Shu encouraged the little devil with a few words. The little devil was merciful and told Ning Shu to work hard to improve his strength. Don't be so weak, it would be embarrassing to bring him out. She was weak before and she was still weak now. She didn't put in any effort. Ning Shu took a deep breath. His hands were itching. Invisible pretentiousness was the deadliest. The little devil was still a ball of black mist before, but now she had become a little devil. Her strength seemed to have improved by leaps and bounds, but she didn't seem to have improved much. She was like a piece of trash compared to these inhuman things. After the little devil finished speaking, she snorted and didn't say anything else, ending the topic. Then, the abyssal prefect said, "He needs to cultivate. Don't disturb him." Ning Shu replied, "Got it?" Chapter 3471. They both knew that His Excellency didn't want her to see the little demon. Now that the little demon was going into seclusion to cultivate, it was only natural that he wouldn't let her see him. Ning Shu also knew that such a thing would only happen once, and there wouldn't be a next time. Even if he used the little demon as a raft, it wouldn't work. Ning Shu didn't care. Anyway, he had made a profit this time. He didn't do much and got a bead. Although this bead was useless now, it was beautiful. He didn't get much this time, but he lost a lot of soul power. She also got a marble, but A1 didn't get anything, and her soul was directly transparent. It would take a lot of soul power to recover. How disgusting. Ning Shu said to Dan Qing, "Do the mission. Make it simple. Do an ordinary mission. Do an ordinary mission to adjust." That kind of mission to look after the plane was a bit difficult for her now. Before Dan Qing could say anything, Ning Shu suddenly said, "Wait a minute." The system didn't say anything. Ning Shu left the system space and came to the void. Ning Shu looked at the familiar back and paused for a moment. Then he raised his foot and walked over. Li Wen turned to look at Ning Shu. Li Wen put one hand in front of her and the other behind her back. Even if she was smiling, she gave off a strong feeling. Ning Shu walked over and said, "Where have you been? Did you meet the little mouse? Their entire race is probably kneeling. I don't know if he's still alive. Where have you been all this time?" Li Wen said, "I went out for a walk." "You know about the little mouse?" Ning Shu asked. Li Wen nodded and said calmly, "I tried to persuade him, but he didn't stop. I said that it's fine if he's hot-headed, but a person with responsibility can't be willful." Ning Shu said, "He's looking for you. Is this what you should do when you're looking for me?" Li Wen looked high and mighty and cold. Ning Shu now felt that Li Wen was deliberately teaching the little mouse a lesson. He even knew that the little mouse would do this. Even after the little mouse's power was destroyed, he still did not appear. Ning Shu did not know what to say. "Is that little mouse still alive? Did you find him?" Ning Shu asked Li Wen. Li Wen shook his head. Ning Shu looked at him in surprise. "You're not going to look for him?" Li Wen asked. "Why are you looking for him?" Ning Shu choked and was speechless. "What do you mean? Did Li Wen stop playing with Little Mouse? Li Wen abandoned Little Mouse? Li Wen was no longer relying on this race? He had abandoned the Little Mouse. She even schemed against him before abandoning him? Ning Shu's mind was filled with all kinds of comments, but he still looked at Li Wen. If this was really the case, then Li Wen was more cold-hearted. However, it was not Ning Shu's turn to intervene in the affairs of these two people. Ning Shu also did not have the right to speak, so Ning Shu did not express any opinions. Ning Shu did not want to participate in the love and hate entanglement of these two people. Ning Shu asked Li Wen, "Brother, why are you looking for me?" "Nothing, I just came to see you. There's a war, it seems that you're still alive." Ning Shu's heart was a little complicated. Li Wen was concerned about whether he was dead or not, but why was he so cold to Haozi? Ning Shu said, "Fortunately, he's not dead." Li Wen nodded and did not say anything else. Ning Shu was a little worried about Li Wen and said, If you don't play with Housie in the future, how will you survive in the void? There were so many dangerous races in the void, Liwen had no way to survive by himself. And he had no companions. Liwen thought for a moment and said, "It depends on fate. If I can meet the little mouse again, we'll talk about it." Ning Shu. Are you sure the little mouse won't blame you? His race became like that, and the fuse was Li Wen, so he had no resentment in his heart. And now it was not certain whether the little mouse was alive or not. Li Wen, so it depends on fate. Li Wen was really open-minded. But knowing that Li Wen was still alive was enough, and he could not be bothered to care about other things. Ning Shu didn't care about the relationship between the two of them. She nodded. It's good that you have a plan in your heart. Anyway, Ning Shu felt that Li Wen could live well no matter what, and he had the ability and means. Li Wen said, "Then I'm leaving." Ning Shu nodded. "Okay, be careful. It's very dangerous in the void. Be careful yourself. If you can't stay in this place, don't stay. There's no need to stay in one place. The void is so big. The goal of life can't be confined to one place. Do you understand?" Ning Shu nodded obediently. I know. Now she still needed to steadily improve her strength. She had not even passed the novice village yet, so she would wait for a while. Li Wen left, and Ning Shu waved at Li Wen's back. Ning Shu returned to the system space and said, "Do the mission." "I'm afraid not. You go and deal with the cosmic stone. No one is doing it, so you can take over for now." Ning Shu, why was there no one? How long had it been? How did it become like this again? The main system explained that the others have something to do. Ning Shu had no choice but to deal with the cosmic stone. He asked, "What kind of mission is it?" "To take away the team dealing with the cosmic stone." Dan Qing, I don't know. The main system did not tell. Ning Shu came to deal with the cosmic stone. He dealt with it for a long time, but no one came to take over. Ning Shu asked the main system to change the person to take over. The main system asked Ning Shu to hold on for a while. There was no one here now, and there were more important things to deal with. Ning Shu, there was no overtime pay for overtime. And what important thing was it? Did they go to find some treasure? Ning Shu dealt with the cosmic stone. Wan, who was as transparent as a ghost, came over to pick up the shards. Her soul was weak to begin with, and now that she was picking up the shards, she looked even more tired. Ning Shu asked, "You're already like this, why are you still picking up the shards?" Wan had no choice. It was her turn, so she could only pick up the shards. Ning Shu said to Wan, "Don't you have a way to get the power of the soul?" If Wan had a way, she might be able to benefit from it. Wan shook her head. "No, do you have one? Can you introduce me to one? I feel like I'm going to kneel now." Especially since Wan had the imprint of the law of fire on her body. The feeling of her soul being burned by fire was probably very uncomfortable. If her soul was strong, it would be fine. But now, Wan's soul was very weak. With the law of fire on her body, it was uncomfortable. Ning Shu felt that when his soul was weak, fortunately, there was the law of water to nourish his soul, so it was not that uncomfortable. Ning Shu could only pat her shoulder helplessly. In the end, he penetrated her soul. "I don't have a way either. My soul also has times when it is weak. I can only endure it." Chapter 3472. Her soul was weak now, only slightly better than Awan's, and she still had to deal with the star stones for so long. She was also mentally tired. Awan picked up the fragments and felt very tired. In the end, she couldn't do it anymore. But obviously, she didn't know anyone here, so she could only look at Ning Shu. She opened her mouth and said with difficulty, "Ning Shu, there's something I want to ask you for help with." Ning Shu didn't even raise his head and asked, "What is it?" "I'm really tired from picking up the fragments now. I can't hold on anymore. Help me pick them up. Double the price." Ning Shu smiled and said, "Okay, I'll help you." Awan sighed. "Thank you. It's nothing. Aren't we friends?" Ning Shu didn't mention the 200,000 merit points at all. Ning Shu released the vines and the vines spread out. Soon, Ning Shu helped Awan get 100,000 fragments. Ning Shu had to pick up the fragments and deal with the star stones. Ning Shu felt like he was going to become an Iron Man. He gave the bag to Ah Wan and said, "Okay." Ah Wan looked at Ning Shu in a daze. She came late and didn't see Ning Shu pick up the fragments. She only saw him deal with the star stones. Now, she saw him pick up enough fragments so easily. She said, "You should actually pick up the fragments. One was worth 10. Ning Shu sighed. "When I deal with the star stones, one was worth 10 too." Ah Wan gave Ning Shu 200,000 merit points and took the bag to hand in the task. She heaved a sigh of relief. Ah Wan's figure looked like it was going to dissipate with the wind. Ning Shu thought for a moment and said to Ah Wan, "That world has been solved. It's the birthplace of a deformed plane." Ah Wan couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. "It's like that?" Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "But the power was taken away by His Excellency. Now it's just a marble." It was necessary to inform Ah Wan about the situation in this world. After all, he discovered this world together with Ah Wan. Ah Wan felt a little regretful. "That's good," Ning Shu said. "Do you want me to give you the marble?" Ah Wan waved her hand. "No need. You can play with it. Besides, he wasn't the one who obtained it. He really didn't get anything this time. Instead, he ended up in such a sorry state." Ning Shu didn't stand on ceremony. Since Ah Wan didn't want it, he would accept it. Ah Wan left. Ning Shu still had to continue dealing with the star rocks. Because she didn't know when someone would take over her shift, she would rest for a while. Otherwise, she would be very tired and wouldn't be able to continue. Ning Shu didn't know how long he had been working. Finally, someone came to take over. Ning Shu still didn't know the person who took over. Just as Ning Shu was about to return to the system space, the main system notified Ning Shu to wait in the void for a mission. One after another, without any rest? Ning Shu's heart ached for himself. The person who changed shifts with Ning Shu seemed to have just remembered. He said to Ning Shu, "Oh right, you need to go to the void. There's a mission. I just rushed over. You need a replacement here, and I need a replacement here too." Ning Shu was speechless. Alright, he still had to go to the void. Ning Shu asked, "Can I ask, what kind of mission is there in the void?" "That person, you'll know when you get there." Ning Shu could only go to the void. He hoped that there wasn't any danger in the void. How could that be? Ning Shu arrived at the void according to the location of the space node. Ning Shu appeared in the crowd. There were quite a lot of people here. There were more than 100 people and all of them were big shots. What were they gathered here for? As a newcomer, Ning Shu naturally had to ask what was going on. Ning Shu scanned around. Well, he didn't find anyone familiar. Actually, there was one familiar person. That was the Buddha-like man, who exuded a grand and righteous aura. He had just won the whip from him, so he definitely didn't want to talk to him now. Since he didn't want to talk to him, the more he wanted to hang around in front of him, the more he wanted to prick his heart. Ning Shu walked toward the Buddha-like man in an unkind mood. "Hi, we meet again." The Buddha-like man seemed to have forgotten what happened before and smiled at Ning Shu. "Ning Shu, what is everyone gathered here for?" The Buddha-like man, "Why are you here if you don't know?" Ning Shu, "I was informed by someone else, so I don't know the situation here very well." The Buddha-like man, "Oh, something is about to be born here, so wait." Ning Shu rolled his eyes and asked, "What is it?" There were energy fluctuations. Was something about to be born? Could it be that energy was about to be born like before? The Buddha-like man shook his head. "I don't know either, so wait." Ning Shu looked at the Buddha-like man. He didn't know if he was really open-minded. Facing Ning Shu, the Buddha-like man's attitude was neither intimate nor repulsive. He was very indifferent. When Ning Shu asked, he also answered. Whether it was real or fake, Ning Shu really admired this kind of attitude. Whether it was real or fake. If it was real, then it was amazing. If it was fake, then it was also amazing. To be able to pretend like this, Ning Shu couldn't do it anyway. He had to suffocate himself to death. Ning Shu smiled and said to him, "Thank you, I understand." The Buddha-like man saw Ning Shu's bright smile and didn't say anything. He just narrowed his eyes and stared at Ning Shu's small teeth. Ning Shu restrained his lips. If he was happy, he would smile. If he was unhappy, he would be unhappy. Why did he have to hold it in? Like this Buddha-like man, he was like a clay bodhisattva worshipped on a shrine. Was he looking down on all living beings, or was he suppressing his emotions? Ning Shu wasn't a Buddha-like man. He didn't know what he was thinking. Just like the big shots that Ning Shu came into contact with, some of them even let themselves go and didn't hide their emotions at all. However, he had never seen someone as restrained as this Buddha-like man. It was as if he didn't even know how to get angry. Ning Shu didn't talk to the Buddha-like man anymore. She had a heart-wrenching thought, but the other party still answered her question. She wanted to continue the heart-wrenching and wander in front of him. That would seem a little unkind. Ning Shu went to the side and waited for something to be born. Things that were born in the void were all good things. However, with so many people and the organization placing so much importance on it, it should be something powerful. Ning Shu rubbed his hands. He didn't expect to drink the soup. He just wanted to see it. Ning Shu took out a kidney-strengthening fruit from the mess in space and ate it. He was bored waiting, so he ate a small snack. Seeing Ning Shu eating alone and eating the kidney-strengthening fruit, many people glanced at Ning Shu. However, they looked away after a glance. Ning Shu could now eat the kidney-strengthening fruit a little, unlike before when he could only eat iron balls. Regarding these gazes, some were drooling over the kidney-strengthening fruit, and some were strange. Ning Shu ignored them all and continued eating. Her soul was a little weak now. She had to sharpen her spear at the last minute to avoid being affected again. Chapter 3473. He didn't know what was born this time. Was it a race or a Xiantian treasure? Seeing how serious everyone was, it probably wasn't something ordinary. Ning Shu chewed on a fruit and felt pain in his cheeks. He couldn't eat anymore. He waited quietly. When the thing was born, someone would naturally come to take it. Speaking of which, the void was quite mysterious. It gave birth to so many things and races. However, even if something precious was born, she wouldn't get a share. She would be rewarded for doing missions, but she probably wouldn't get anything. Ning Shu treated it as though he was here to broaden his horizons. As long as he fulfilled his duty of guarding, he didn't care about anything else. Ning Shu stretched his ears to listen to the others, wanting to get some information. I think it should be an energy body this time. Not necessarily. Maybe a new race was born. A new race? There are countless races in the void. There shouldn't be a new race. A new race won't be of any help to the organization. It's better to have a spirit body. We can also get something. If it's not an energy body, we'll be guarding for nothing. When Ning Shu heard these people, he touched his chin and pondered. If he knew this would happen, he would have brought the peerless martial art. If an energy body was born, there would be residual energy. Maybe the peerless martial art could absorb some energy. Now, the peerless martial art had become a brick. It was really painful. A world suddenly became like this. It was really frustrating. After waiting for a long time, nothing was born. It probably wouldn't be born in a short period of time. Ning Shu took out the time crystal from the mess in space. This was given to him by the Chong Sam man. He didn't have time to study it carefully. Now he had time. Ning Shu held the time crystal in his hand and studied it carefully. He felt that time was messed up. The time law was a high-level law. It was very difficult to comprehend it. Ning Shu's mind was a little messy. When he woke up, the crystal in his hand was gone. The comprehension inside was also gone. Ning Shu seemed to have comprehended something, but it also seemed like he didn't. Many things flashed through his mind, but it was too fast. In the end, he didn't comprehend anything. Sigh, what a waste of crystals. Bored of waiting, Ning Shu flipped through some information when he had nothing to do. It was all about the Guardian plane. Without the wishes of the client, he could only rely on himself to figure it out. In the future, she might have to do more of these kinds of missions. Even if she wanted to do normal missions, most of them would be guarding missions. The organization would definitely assign more missions like this. Instead of panicking when the time came, it was better to take a good look now and strive to have a clear understanding of the situation. Because of the long wait, everyone inevitably relaxed and gathered in twos and threes to talk. Ning Shu looked at the information while observing his surroundings. If there was really a treasure that had been born, the other races in the void would definitely know about it, and a great battle would be unavoidable. Ning Shu felt that she had to be prepared when the fight started. Ning Shu was not wrong. Soon, other races heard the news and rushed over. There were all kinds of giant races, as well as all kinds of colossal creatures, such as birds, and even more majestic and domineering creatures. In short, they were all gathered together. The huge bodies of these creatures made Ning Shu and the other mission enforcers look like ants. They were real ants. The bodies of these huge races were really too big. These races were clearly divided. They stood together and faintly formed a confrontation. As for the small ants next to them, who would care about quibbling ants? These people were all big shots of the organization, but in front of these colossal creatures, they were really ants. There was really no way to talk about the racial advantage. It would be sad to talk about it too much. With so many races mobilized, there might really be something good coming out. Ning Shu was very inconspicuous in the crowd to reduce his presence. He asked Dan Qing to inform the main system of the situation here and let the organization think of a solution. Anyway, there were so many people. She couldn't rush up. It was useless to rush up. She would be killed instantly. Even though Ning Shu didn't seem to die, if it exceeded the critical point, she would probably die. Even the Grand Uncle could wipe out his will. Ning Shu felt that the strength of these races should be on par with the Grand Uncle. So, he couldn't afford to offend them. He wanted to slip away. If he had a strong sense of mission and a deep and passionate love for the organization, Ning Shu really wanted to slip away. When these races gathered together, their auras were very strong. Especially when these races were secretly competing, the surrounding pressure was even lower. Ning Shu and the others had to suffer. Ordinary people were speechless when faced with a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a prehistoric giant beast. Dan Qing, I've already informed the main system. The main system said it understood. Well, it was fine as long as they sent people. Anyway, even if the sky fell, there were tall people to hold it up. The worst result was that they couldn't get this unborn treasure. It didn't matter. Anyway, Ning Shu didn't care very much. Thinking about it this way, the pressure these colossal creatures gave her was much less. As for whether the organization would send people over, Ning Shu really couldn't make the decision. The thing could only be snatched by others. Before the thing was born, everyone was safe and the scene was still normal. They just didn't know what would happen next. Soon, the Grand Uncle and His Excellency came over. His Excellency was holding the little demon's hand. Wasn't the little demon in seclusion? Ning Shu waved at the little demon. The little demon turned her head to the side, pretending not to know Ning Shu. Why are you waving? Isn't it embarrassing? This time, His Excellency and the Grand Uncle came together. When the two of them stood in line, Ning Shu asked His Excellency, "Do you know what's going to be born?" His Excellency looked at the various races in the void and said, "A new race is about to be born?" Ning Shu, I don't quite understand. Why are they gathered here to fight when a new race is born? The Abyssal Prefect suddenly smiled, revealing a row of white teeth. For some reason, it gave off an eerie and terrifying feeling. Ning Shu felt a chill run down his spine. He felt that His Excellency's smile was even scarier than his cold face. Why did he suddenly smile so scary when they were talking? These races are gathered together to eat the new race. Ning Shu, that not only was Ning Shu shocked, but the little demon was also surprised. She asked repeatedly, why do they want to eat the new race? Because it has power. This new race contains the latest and strongest power in the void. In order for the race to continue, eating it is the best choice. Everything would die. Even these powerful races might survive for tens of thousands or billions of years, but they still wanted to live. Chapter 3474. Survival was engraved in the bones of all races. And what? The little devil asked hurriedly. The corners of His Excellency's mouth curled up. And The newly born races will restrain the existing races and even their natural enemies. Strangling them in the cradle is the most obvious choice. Ning Shu was speechless. So they gathered together to dismember the corpse and eat something? Ning Shu was a little speechless. Ning Shu asked, "Then why are we gathering here? Are we gathering here to snatch one to eat? Someone in the organization needs food. Of course, we're here to snatch some food." Ning Shu was dumbfounded. Who? Ning Shu first thought of Sang Liang. Sang Liang was a fastidious person and never ate other things. Did he eat this? The grand uncle occasionally ate other things, but the silver-haired man was very particular. Ning Shu said, "Since it's a natural enemy born in the void and a natural enemy of some races, is it really okay to eat it like this?" Restraining each other was the way to go in the long run. Without the existence of natural enemies, the races might not be able to survive. His Excellency said, "There's no problem. Even if it wasn't born this time, it will be born next time." Ning Shu was speechless. Please understand foodies. Foodies are a very scary creature, okay? It seemed that they were snatching food this time. Ning Shu calmed down immediately. Seeing so many races here, it was probably true that there were too many monks and too little gruel. There was definitely not enough to go around. Ning Shu was puzzled. The races in the void are all born and bred. Since they're born and bred, why worry about the reproduction of the race? His Excellency said, only the first generation of the race is born and bred. After that, the reproduction of the race has nothing to do with the world. Ning Shu said, "Oh, is it okay to eat the newly born race like this?" His Excellency and the Grand Uncle glanced at Ning Shu at the same time, making Ning Shu feel as if he had said something that he shouldn't have said. His Excellency said, "Eating this kind of thing is the same as you humans eat eggs and pigs. Is there a problem?" Ning Shu shook his head. "No problem. You guys have the final say." Ning Shu discovered that the Abyssal Prefect's prejudice against humans was not just a little bit. Ning Shu stood aside obediently and didn't say anything. With so many people staring at the eggs, was there really no problem? Ning Shu had never seen a living being born in the void. Would it explode with a bang? Gradually, the surrounding energy began to gather. This energy was very large, and it gathered from all directions. This huge amount of vitality was too shocking. The law of wood imprint between Ning Shu's thumb and index finger greedily absorbed this life force. Regardless of whether it was the wood law imprint absorbing the vitality, even the world tree had emerged to absorb it. Looks like it's really not bad. Ning Shu, who had gained some benefits, was elated. The life force gathered into balls of light one after another. They were densely packed and looked like there were a lot of them. Just how many creatures were going to be born? It was definitely enough for everyone here to eat. These balls of light grew larger and larger. Finally, with a pop, one living being after another was born. These living beings looked a little strange. They looked a little like cows, but they were much more ferocious. They had sharp fangs and looked quite sinister. However, these cow-like living beings quickly transformed into white and tender little children. They switched back and forth between human and beast forms. Even though they were just born, Ning Shu could feel that these living beings were very powerful. Some of them were even more powerful than him. His starting point was really too high. Perhaps it was because they sensed danger, but these newly born living beings gathered together and began to flee in the blink of an eye. They fled at lightning speed. The races that were eyeing them covetously from the side immediately rushed up and ravaged these newborn creatures. They could swallow many calves in one gulp. These calves didn't intend to fight back. Instead, they fled with all their might. Thankfully, there were enough newly born living beings for these people to eat. Once these tribes were full, some of them would be able to escape and continue to reproduce. This was the way of survival. Only by sacrificing a portion and preserving a portion could the tribe continue to reproduce. Just like animals, the lower the level of an animal, the more desperate it was to give birth. Only by using a portion of the children to feed their natural enemies would the remaining portion have a chance to survive. Moreover, they might have to kneel midway. Therefore, they had to use numbers to win. There were quite a few newly born living beings. It should be enough to eat. His Excellency and senior uncle waved their hands and captured many living beings. They directly stored them. This way, very few would be able to escape. It was uncertain whether this tribe could continue to reproduce. Ning Shu didn't make a move. The other mission enforcers did. However, it took several people to capture one living being. She didn't want to join in the fun and save some energy. It was so difficult to survive in the void. The little demon could only watch. To be more precise, she couldn't do anything at all. Her expression was a bit dull. It was probably the first time she had seen such a situation, so she just watched from the side. There was still some life force in the air. Ning Shu grabbed the machine to absorb it. There wouldn't be such a good opportunity in the future. She liked this huge amount of life force. Perhaps her world tree would have a qualitative change. How wonderful! Seeing Ning Shu smile like a sunflower, the little demon muttered and asked, "Why don't you go and help?" Ning Shu said, "I'm afraid of heights." The little demon. Because of the little cubs, some tribes had a conflict. Bang, 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 all kinds of energy flew in the void. Ning Shu pulled the little demon away from them so that she wouldn't be hit by the cannon fodder. The little demon's worldview had probably been impacted. Why do you think these people are so rude? Ning Shu automatically understood that the little demon was envious of the strength of these tribes. To be honest, she was also very envious of them. When the matter was over, senior uncle said, "Pay the commanders according to the number of cubs caught." Ning Shu, what did that mean? There was no reward if they didn't catch the cubs? She had just watched from the side and didn't do anything. That was why she had wasted so much time and gained nothing. But after absorbing so much life force, it wasn't a loss. Furthermore, he didn't do anything, so he didn't get paid. However, Ning Shu didn't want to know what the reward was at all. Otherwise, she would feel uncomfortable. Grand Uncle, 2 exemptions, 20 million merit points each. Ning Shu was speechless. I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen. 2 exemptions, he really wanted them. 20 million merit points for each one. That was quite a lot. If she had known earlier, she would have caught one too. Unbearable. The organization had captured so many creatures. Did they want to eat them or cultivate them? After all, this was where the racial advantage lay. Or kill some of them and keep the rest for nurturing. One more void spirit meant one more source of power. Ning Shu was thinking about the 2 exemptions. At her level, amulets were useless. He wanted immunity. Chapter 3475. Ning Shu didn't care about the 20 million merit points, but the 2 exemptions were really precious. On the phone, no work, no reward. The little devil looked at these adults. Ning Shu asked the question she was also curious about. Are we really going to eat these creatures? How would I know? Ning Shu was a little speechless. These creatures of the void land ate newborn creatures just like how His Excellency ate the little devil. There was no psychological burden at all. At this moment, the little devil seemed to have some compassion. His Excellency held the little devil's hand and said, "Let's go back. You should cultivate." Everyone had gained something from their handiwork. Ning Shu returned to the system's space empty-handed. Ning Shu opened his hand and the world tree appeared in his palm. The world tree was green and lush with many leaves. Moreover, the world tree was surrounded by a thin layer of treasure light. It was full of vitality and spiritual energy. Although he didn't get an exemption, Ning Shu was quite happy because the world tree absorbed so much energy. It was awesome. The world tree grew many branches and leaves, and it grew bigger and bigger. Soon, it became a towering tree. The system space couldn't accommodate this tree anymore. But it soon shrank again. But not bad. Ning Shu took out a box. This box was given by Mo Ming. Inside was the power derived from living creatures. Now that the tree was about to grow, it was time to use this thing. It wasn't very big and was quickly absorbed by the world tree. The world tree didn't change much. Although this thing could speed up the evolution of the world of living creatures, it was only a little faster. It couldn't form a world and give birth to living creatures in one go. Maybe his world of reincarnation could be connected to the world of reincarnation. Ning Shu asked, "Do you think the organization captured the creatures of the Void Land for eating or for other purposes?" Dan Qing said, "My personal opinion is probably to cultivate. The organization has many creatures of the Void Land. It would be a waste to eat them. Cultivating them would be more useful. Moreover, they would be a new generation of living creatures. Born and bred, they were the strongest generation of a race. After that, as they multiplied, the purity of their bloodline became a little thin. Between a little appetite and great power, which do you think is more important?" Ning Shu. "Just as important. How could he survive without food?" However, at the level of the granduncles, a little desire for food was probably not important. As a human, Ning Shu liked to eat very much. He didn't need to eat food to replenish his energy, but he liked to eat. The instinct to eat could not be overcome. Dan Qing said to Ning Shu, "You should go deal with the star stones." Ning Shu. "Haven't I already dealt with it?" Something happened in the plane, so many people were transferred over. "You are one of them." Ning Shu frowned. Why did something happen again? Was the Sea of Law already so weak? Ning Shu didn't say anything else and directly took it. As soon as they arrived, Ning Shu saw the sky full of brilliance. The plane was like fireworks. The fragments of the explosion flew everywhere. It was especially beautiful, but this was the plane exploding. The speed of the explosion was very fast. They could only abandon a part of it and cut off the plane to prevent all the planes from exploding like firecrackers. It took a long time to birth a plane, but the explosion was very fast. Planes were the same as people. There were birth, old age, illness, and death, natural aging, and also rupture for various reasons. But they always maintained a balance, but now that the Sea of Law had a problem, it didn't have the ability to birth a new plane. Like an old mother, her body was old and tired, and there was no power to give birth to a new life. New life and disappointment were no longer an exception. Ning Shu touched his face. The fragments penetrated his cheek, and it hurt a little. The explosion of the plane took a long time, and the fragments were as numerous as the stars. How long would it take to deal with this? With the grand uncles here, Ning Shu didn't need to deal with the star stones. He just picked up the fragments. Ning Shu stretched out his vines to pick up the fragments. He just sat still and stretched out his vines. The grand uncles were dealing with the star stones, and he looked a little absent-minded. He waved his hand for Ning Shu to deal with the star stones. Ning Shu saw that the grand uncle's expression was unhappy, and he didn't say anything about dealing with the star stones. The grand uncles left in a flash and came to the side of the law of nothingness. The law of nothingness as Zheng Qing opened his eyes. When he saw the grand uncles, he immediately smiled sarcastically. "Why are you here again? You've been coming very frequently recently. Is the Sea of Law no longer working?" No longer working." The grand uncles didn't say anything. He condensed a sword in his hand and raised it towards Zheng Qing's forehead. Zheng Qing frowned and tried his best to avoid the sword. Even if he dodged, his forehead was still pierced by the sword. Zheng Qing's hands were locked by black chains, and the chains clanked loudly. The blood flowed from his forehead to his lips and past his eyelids, as if he was crying blood. Zheng Qing stretched out his tongue and licked the blood that flowed to his lips. He twitched the corner of his mouth. "Finally, I can't take it anymore. It's time to make a move. Do you really think that by killing me, the Sea of Law can be saved?" The grand uncle still didn't say anything. He turned his sword and aimed it at Zheng Qing's neck. Zheng Qing retreated. His neck was cut by the sword, and blood was seeping out. The blood dripped onto the law of nothingness. In the blink of an eye, it was swallowed by the law of nothingness. "It hurts a little." Zheng Qing touched his neck, and the chains rang. "Granduncles, you're finally not putting on a hypocritical face." Ning Shu pursed his lips. The sword emitted a gloomy light, sharp and unknown. Zheng Qing mocked, "Granduncles, come and kill me. Kill me in exchange for your life. I want you to always live in pain." The granduncle said, "It's just a little provocation." Zheng Qing's face turned cold. Granduncles, you're so cold-hearted. Sooner or later, you'll suffer retribution. Even if I die, the sea of law won't survive. You must die too, coward. Zheng Qing was furious. You're really so heartless. The granduncles didn't say a word. In a flash, he appeared in front of the granduncles. The two faced each other and they were very close. Their eyes looked at each other, and the granduncle's golden eyes reflected a gloomy light. It was like a fog that covered his eyes. Other than the eyes, what was revealed was a cold face and a cold outline. Zheng Qing stubbornly looked at the granduncles. His breathing was rapid, and his pupils were dilated. He gritted his teeth and his body trembled slightly. He spat out two words. Granduncles. The granduncles raised his hand, and the sharp blade pierced through Zheng Qing's neck. With a sweep of the blade, Zheng Qing's head was cut off. /BK. Chapter 3476. With a thud, Zheng Qing's head fell into the law of nothingness. His body fell with a loud crash, splattering his words. Some of the law of nothingness splashed on Taishu's shoes, fainted, and then gradually dissipated and evaporated. Ning Shu was dealing with the star stone when she suddenly felt that something was wrong. She shook her head. Just now, she really felt a chill on her back, like she was breaking out in a cold sweat. This feeling came very suddenly and disappeared in an instant. Ning Shu didn't have this feeling again. Ning Shu had never believed that there was no reason for such a feeling. Something must have happened. Ning Shu looked down at her soul and didn't even let go of her sea of consciousness. She carefully looked down at herself, not even letting go of a strand of her hair, but she didn't find anything unusual. However, Ning Shu suddenly felt uneasy. She wasn't even in the mood to deal with the star stone. Taishu came back, took the props from Ning Shu, and started to deal with the star stone. Ning Shu wasn't in the mood to deal with it either. Since someone was willing to deal with it, she didn't need to. She went to the side to pick up the fragments with her vines. From time to time, she glanced at Taishu, who was dealing with the star stone. She thought about it and moved over. She thought that Zheng Qing was probably the only one who could make her feel uneasy. Although Zheng Qing was now in the law of nothingness, Ning Shu was still very vigilant, even though she was gloating over Zheng Qing's misfortune. Otherwise, she would try to find a way to see Zheng Qing. However, she had never seen Zheng Qing in the law of nothingness. Taishu glanced at Ning Shu. His eyes were cold and he ignored Ning Shu. Ning Shu felt numb from Taishu's stare. In the past, he used to be a ghost, but now he was an ice block. Ning Shu rubbed her arms and asked carefully, Taishu, get lost. Ning Shu, did something happen to Zheng Qing? I don't feel good. Taishu sized up Ning Shu. What's wrong? Yes, I feel uncomfortable all over. It's very cold. I checked and found nothing unusual, Ning Shu said honestly. Senior uncle said something, and Ning Shu guessed that Zheng Qing might have knelt down. And the fuse might have been the destruction of the plane this time. This time, quite a number of explosions had occurred. This was no longer an ordinary explosion, which meant that the situation in the plane was very serious. If the situation wasn't serious, the grand uncle wouldn't have killed Zheng Qing. Ning Shu asked, Are you sure that all the ministers are dead? The grand elder stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu curled his lips. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Although Ning Shu guessed that the grand uncle had killed Zheng Qing, the grand uncle would definitely be unhappy if he said it out loud. The grand uncle could do it, but she couldn't say it. The grand elder sized up Ning Shu and even invaded Ning Shu's sea of consciousness. Ning Shu endured the uncomfortable feeling. She checked and didn't find anything. It would be good if the grand elder could find out. She wouldn't have to worry and worry. Ning Shu asked, How is it? Did Zheng Qing run to my body? The grand elder said, You're thinking too much. Ning Shu was puzzled. Could it be an illusion? Since the grand elder said no, Ning Shu believed half of it. However, Ning Shu believed the other half of it. But after checking and checking, there was no result. Ning Shu walked away with a puzzled expression, looking back at the grand elder from time to time. There was really nothing wrong. Her feeling wasn't wrong. The Grand Elder dealt with the star stone without looking up, directly ignoring Ning Shu's gaze. Ning Shu used the vines to pick up the fragments. Nothing happened. His ability wasn't affected. Everything was normal. The chill just now was gone. It was very normal. Nothing happened. However, Ning Shu was unhappy. It wasn't appropriate at all. After picking up the fragments, Ning Shu left and returned to the system space. The Grand Elder glanced at Ning Shu's back, his expression becoming colder and colder. Back in the system space, Ning Shu looked at his situation again. He even checked the star-like spiritual energy in his sea of consciousness. There were many spiritual stars. Who could count the stars in the sky? No one could. However, Ning Shu checked them one by one. It took a long time, but Ning Shu didn't lack time. Ning Shu didn't move for a long time, as if he was meditating. Time passed by minute. Dan Qing saw that Ning Shu was busy, so she didn't disturb him. After a long time, Ning Shu opened his eyes. His face was full of confusion. There was really nothing wrong. Maybe she was really paranoid? Ning Shu collapsed on the sofa. He moved as if he had epilepsy and was paralyzed. If nothing unexpected happened, Zheng Qing was dead. However, Ning Shu didn't feel at ease at all. What's with this vague feeling of displeasure? Dan Qing asked. Are you going to do a mission now? Ning Shu waved his hand. I'm not in the mood. Ning Shu thought about it and went to the consultation room in Water City. Walking into the consultation room, Ning Shu waited for the silver-haired man. The silver-haired man came out of the inner room, but this time, there was someone behind him. It was the heart. Ning Shu was stunned when he saw the heart, but he didn't take it to heart. The silver-haired man asked, "What do you want to ask?" The heart sat next to him and stared straight at Ning Shu. Ning Shu opened his mouth and said, "A person is dead, but not dead. To put it bluntly, I don't think he's completely dead. Apart from the soul, what else can keep a person alive? When a person died, they became a soul. What if the soul was destroyed?" Ning Shu felt that the Grand Elder wouldn't keep Zheng Qing's soul. The silver-haired man said, "If the soul is destroyed, it's completely destroyed." Ning Shu? Really? The silver-haired man said, "Why don't you earn money?" Ning Shu finally believed him, albeit reluctantly. Then he asked, "How much?" Was Zheng Qing all dead? The silver-haired man said, "It's not expensive. 50,000 merit points." Ning Shu, that's not expensive. However, Ning Shu paid the money and left the consultation room. The heart caught up with Ning Shu. Ning Shu stopped and turned to look at him. She asked, "Is there anything you need from me?" The heart said, "Nothing, I'm just here to see you." Ning Shu pursed his lips, looked at the heart and said directly, "You look different now." The heart wouldn't wrap its tentacles around Ning Shu now, but it just said, "Yes, it's different." Ning Shu nodded. "You're living well but not well. That's how a person's life is. There's helplessness, discomfort, and helplessness." The heart said, "I know." Before Ning Shu could speak, the heart said again, "Knowing doesn't mean you should understand." Ning Shu suddenly smiled. "I really don't care about other people's understanding. No one should be good to anyone in this world, and no one owes anyone anything." Ning Shu didn't feel that he owed the heart. /BK. Chapter 3477. She got some spiritual stones and gave the heart a body, allowing the heart, which should have disappeared with time, to have a new life. A spiritual stone in exchange for a life, a body that could walk freely, this was a good deal. The heart couldn't stand the fact that she abandoned him and threw him to someone else. But what obligation did she have to treat the heart especially well and do everything according to the heart? Especially when the heart wrapped around her like an octopus, she couldn't do anything. Why couldn't the heart understand her difficulties? If the heart was unhappy, she would be happy. Did she look like the kind of person who would silently endure and sacrifice, and then be moved by her own feelings? Ning Shu smiled and said, "If you want to talk to me like this, then I have nothing to talk to you about." If it was such a weak relationship, then it was fine, but if the heart hated her, she didn't care. It was fine as long as she had a clear conscience. The heart didn't care at all. The heart shook its head. You're still the same. In terms of the transaction, you don't owe me anything, but in terms of feelings, from an emotional point of view, you almost crushed my spiritual ball. Although you recovered it later, you gave me a big slap and a piece of candy at the same time. After that, you ignored my wishes and talked to me nicely, but you still wrapped your spiritual tentacles around me and didn't care about other people's feelings. You don't care about my feelings, but you want me to take care of your emotions. You're a baby, and I'm a little princess. You're talking to me about feelings? Ning Shu smiled and looked at the heart. What right do you have to accuse me of ignoring your feelings and feelings? Ning Shu couldn't bear to see the heart look like it was betrayed and abandoned by her. The heart was speechless for a moment and just looked at Ning Shu. Let's not talk about these things. I'll treat you to food. If you like food, I'll treat you. Ning Shu was a little surprised. The heart seemed to know a little more about human affairs now. Ning Shu said, well, one who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. What do you want? The heart. That's not true. Didn't you say that I was a cruel and unscrupulous person? Now that I want to repay you, you're saying that I'm an evil person. What do you want me to do? Ning Shu shuddered and nodded. All right. Ning Shu followed his heart into the restaurant. Since someone wanted to treat him to a meal, he would eat. There was nothing he couldn't eat. Along the way, his heart was watching Ning Shu. Ning Shu, why are you looking at me like that? The heart shook its head. Your soul is different from last time. All right, there was nothing he could do about it. His soul was always fluctuating, sometimes strong and sometimes weak. Ning Shu, life is full of ups and downs. The heart smiled but didn't say anything. This smile was quite profound. After arriving at the restaurant, Ning Shu and Xen casually found a seat and sat down. The heart said to Ning Shu, just order whatever you like. Ning Shu took a sip of tea and asked, do you have money? Do you have merit? Although this was his restaurant, he couldn't let anyone dine and dash. The heart, I have money saved up. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Oh, you get paid? I can do some things to get some merit. The heart poured a cup of tea and sipped it. The food made by humans is really delicious. When I was still a minor, I would occasionally hear people who had stepped on me talk. Some of them said that women tasted good, while others said that food tasted good. They were very happy, and their faces were filled with happiness and satisfaction. At that time, I was thinking that I had become someone who wanted to eat and taste women. Ning Shu almost spat out the tea in her mouth. She asked directly, have the women tasted the food? I've tasted the food. The taste is excellent. Humans can cook a dish for several hours. A human's life is very short, only 100 years. Why waste so much time on cooking a dish? Ning Shu drank his tea. Is it delicious? The heart nodded honestly. It's delicious. That's right. This is lust. This is a human's instinct. It stimulates pleasure and it can also reproduce. This is reproduction. Spending so much effort on food. This is to absorb energy. This is to survive. Aren't these two things a person needs to live a lifetime? Have you found a woman? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and glanced at the heart's crotch. The heart clamped its thighs and crossed its legs. It shook its head and said, not yet. I'm facing souls. Even if it's a woman, it's a soul. Ning Shu said, oh, that's a pity. The heart was still very simple. It could meet women in the world of living. It was very easy to have a taste of women. However, Ning Shu wouldn't say that. People were too loyal to their instincts, or even indulged in their instincts, like lust. That definitely wouldn't do. Eating and drinking too much would make one sick. One had to take care of one's health regularly. One couldn't consume too much energy. Besides, the heart wasn't a human. It didn't need to live like a human. Ning Shu handed the menu to the heart. Order what you like. The heart looked at the menu and ordered what it liked. Then it asked Ning Shu, what do you like to eat? I'll order it for you. Ning Shu said, I'm not picky. I'll eat anything. The dishes were served very quickly. The heart was very polite. It let Ning Shu eat first and then slowly tasted it. Ning Shu said, You look like a human now. The heart said, I've become a human, so I have to live like a human. Ning Shu said, you don't have to live like a human. How do you want to live like a human? It's bad to live like a human. It's good to live like a human. You seem to be addicted to good food. I can't taste women anymore. I can only eat human food. Very good. I like it very much. Ning Shu was speechless. He knew that the heart wasn't being frivolous. It must have heard some dirty talk on the mountain about the taste of women. This meal wasn't as tense as it seemed. It seemed like their relationship had eased quite a bit. With a heart like this, Ning Shu couldn't keep a straight face. He said, everyone has to have some hobbies in life. It's fine if you like to eat. I like to eat too. The heart nodded. Then I'll treat you to food often in the future. I know a lot of good food. Ning Shu asked, you ate a lot of good food when you were with Silver? Sang Liang, right? The heart shook its head. No, he doesn't seem to eat much. But he always finds me a lot of good food. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. The heart ate 2 mouthfuls and put down its chopsticks. The food in this restaurant isn't good. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, to say something like that in front of the restaurant owner, are you sure you're not here to cause trouble? /BK. Chapter 3478. A few people said that the restaurant's food wasn't good, which meant that the taste was really bad. Ning Shu's heart asked, is it really not good? The heart said, the taste is very average. It's not outstanding, but it's not bad either. It's reasonable that this restaurant's business is so bad. Ning Shu looked around. There were a few customers sitting in the hall, casually picking up food and looking bored. It was enough to say that the restaurant's taste wasn't very good. Ning Shu didn't rely on this restaurant to earn money, but if people said that the restaurant's food wasn't good, it would be a bit embarrassing. Ning Shu thought that the taste was okay before, but if a few people said that it wasn't good, then it wouldn't be good. Ning Shu asked, how is it not good? What's wrong? Ning Shu still wanted to run the restaurant well, and this kind of restaurant was different from ordinary restaurants. It was for souls to eat, and the workmanship was different. The heart thought and said, it's probably rough. It's not as good as the food that takes time to make. But it's understandable for a place like a restaurant. If there are many people, it's naturally busy. Ning Shu said, oh, and then said, this restaurant is mine. The heart, what can I do? Why didn't you say that this restaurant was yours earlier? The heart said, actually, there are many customers in the restaurant. There's no way to make it carefully. Ning Shu put down his chopsticks and went to the kitchen. Some chefs were chatting in the kitchen. When they saw Ning Shu come in, they immediately called him boss. These chefs were also souls. These people had skills when they were alive, but after they died, they became existences that did odd jobs. They weren't enough to be mission enforcers. But compared to going to the afterlife, these people could be considered as eternal life. Some mission enforcers were willing to earn money to work as shop assistants or waiters, but most mission enforcers wouldn't waste their time on such things. After all, there were so many missions to do. These chefs and staff were ordinary souls. When they saw Ning Shu come in, they were a bit surprised and showed a worried expression. Ning Shu said directly, the customer said the food wasn't good. What's going on? Chef immediately turned pale with fright. Boss, we have never cut corners. Ning Shu, really? Then why do I feel that the food is not as good as before? What's going on? The chefs started to cry and wail. Their faces were filled with terror and fear. If they were chased out, they would really be homeless. They were hired by a boss, and they were also famous chefs. Not to mention imperial cuisine, they could cook dragon meat and phoenix heart very well. Ning Shu said, I believe you, but the customer's feedback is the real deal. I've heard more than once that the food in the restaurant isn't delicious or exquisite. Since you don't want to do it anymore, then don't do it. Ning Shu didn't spend too much time in the restaurant, but after all, he was running a business. It wouldn't do if his reputation wasn't good. In the future, when others saw her, they would say that the food in the restaurant wasn't delicious. A lifetime of illustrious fame. Boss, we'll be serious, we'll be serious. Chef hurriedly smiled apologetically. Ning Shu said, "The people who come to eat in the restaurant are all rich and powerful. You can fool them casually. If you don't care, at most you'll just scold them. If you meet someone with a bad temper, you'll flip the table and kill all of you chefs. Do you think I'll offend someone powerful to protect you, or help to kill you?" The chefs' faces turned green. They kept begging for mercy. Boss didn't seem to lack money. He didn't care about the restaurant when he had nothing to do. It was inevitable that people would slack off a little. Now that Boss was here to settle the score, they were scared witless. There were many powerful people here. They were ordinary souls without any power. If they were killed, they would be killed. If they were killed, their souls would scatter. Even the power of their souls would probably be taken away by others. Ning Shu felt that he had to stay in the restaurant for a few days. Otherwise, the restaurant would probably be ruined. In any case, they had opened with great fanfare. They couldn't close down not long after opening. It would be embarrassing. "I still need to check if you'll change. If there's a next time, it won't be in my restaurant." He would rather close the restaurant than ruin it. "Yes, yes." Everyone nodded quickly. Ning Shu came out of the kitchen and said to the waiter, "Take away these dishes and make some new ones." The waiter didn't dare to have any objections. He quickly took away the bowls and chopsticks and wiped the table clean. The heart said, "Don't bother. It's not like you can't eat." Ning Shu said, "It's nothing. Since you said it doesn't taste good, I'll make something delicious for you." The heart said, "You're not angry, are you?" Ning Shu blinked. What's there to be angry about? The heart was really different now. It could even tell that someone was angry. It took a long time to cook this time. Probably because Ning Shu went to the kitchen and said something, the chefs didn't dare to casually serve it. They were capable, but they were so perfunctory. Ning Shu's heart asked, "What do you do when you're with Sang Liang?" "Nothing much. He makes me read and write every day, or I walk around. Anyway, it's these kinds of things." Ning Shu rested his chin on his hands. "Reading is good. What else can he make you do besides reading?" The heart said, "He wants me to learn how to control my mental strength. Actually, I can control my mental strength very well. It's an innate talent. I don't need to train." Ning Shu was speechless. The dishes were brought to the table again. This time, the dishes were much more exquisite than before. They looked very high-end. They looked, smelled, and tasted good. Ning Shu said to the heart, "Try it again." The heart picked up a dish and tasted it carefully. It nodded. "It's much better this time. It tastes very good. Next time, if there's anything rare or delicious, I'll give it to you. I ate dragon stew this time. Although the dragon meat is old and dry, it can still be very delicious in the hands of a chef. Next time, I'll treat you to dragon stew." Ning Shu just nodded. Ning Shu and the heart finished all the dishes on the table. Ning Shu was a spiritual body, so he didn't feel full. However, the heart's stomach was like a bottomless pit. It ate as if it didn't need anything. Since it was the heart's treat, it would naturally pay. Ning Shu looked at the heart pay. The heart took out an identity card and handed it to the manager. "I'll pay for both tables." Ning Shu said, "No need. I'll pay for one table. The other table is defective. You don't have to pay." The heart didn't say anything. The money saved could be used for another meal. "Very good. /BK." Chapter 3479. The heart didn't have much ambition, but it was very happy to eat delicious food. It was probably the will of a foodie. Ning Shu asked the kitchen to make some snacks, pastries, or something else for the heart. Ning Shu's heart asked, "What's your name now?" He didn't know if the silver-haired man had given him a name. The heart said, "Yes, I have a name now. It's Zhuang Zheng." Zhuang as in solemn, Zheng as in normal. "By the way, I still don't know your name." Ning Shu said, "My name is Ning Shu." Ning as in tranquil, Shu as in comfortable. Her heart let out an "oh" before she called out, "Ning Shu." The heart said, "I'm leaving. I'll treat you to delicious food next time." The heart walked to the door with the bag of snacks and met Senior Uncle in Black. The heart suddenly felt its heart tremble twice. and it turned sideways to let Senior Uncle in. Senior Uncle looked at the heart and seemed to remember who he was. "You're the one who follows Sang Liang?" The heart nodded. Ning Shu was a little surprised to see Senior Uncle. He greeted him personally and asked, "Sir, what do you want to eat?" Senior Uncle must have something to do with her. It's impossible that he just came to eat. Senior Uncle was an iron nail. It didn't matter if he didn't eat 10 meals. "I'm here for something." Senior Uncle took a handkerchief and spread it on the chair, then sat down. Ning Shu just looked at him. Someone else had sat on the chair, so he used a handkerchief to cover it. What if the previous person had hemorrhoids? He didn't want to be infected. Of course, this was just Ning Shu's thought. The heart was going to leave, but now it came back secretly and sat down at a nearby table. Ning Shu asked, "Why are you looking for me?" Senior Uncle said, "Don't you think that Zhengqing didn't die? He should have a backup plan. He has been with you for the longest time, so he must have prepared something." Ning Shu replied with an "oh" and asked, "So, should we start the examination now? How should we do it?" "He's dead. His soul should have been annihilated, but he's still alive." Ning Shu asked. The senior uncle didn't say anything. He poured him a cup of tea. Of course, before the knife and fork, he wiped the quilt inside and out with a paper towel. He poured a cup of tea for the grand uncle. "Please have some water." Although Ning Shu was gloating in his heart that Senior Uncle Tai had killed Zhengqing, he was probably unhappy. Ning Shu didn't need to put himself in danger, so that he wouldn't suffer any losses. The grand uncle took a sip of tea and then slowly sipped it. Ning Shu asked again, "Do you want to eat something? My treat?" Anyway, it was just a matter of a table of dishes. Moreover, it was Ning Shu who needed help from Senior Uncle. When asking for help, one must have a good attitude. The grand elder just nodded his head lightly. Ning Shu gave the menu to Senior Uncle. Senior Uncle didn't look at it or take it. "Anything is fine." Ning Shu nodded. He chose some more expensive dishes and asked the waiter to serve them. Senior Uncle wiped the chopsticks over and over again before starting to eat. He didn't speak from beginning to end. He chewed and swallowed slowly. Ning Shu felt tired watching him. The heart winked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu walked over and sat opposite the heart. The heart whispered to Ning Shu, "Did you make a mistake? Let me tell you, he's very fierce. He kills without blinking. Killing people without batting an eyelid was too normal. As long as someone made a mistake, there was no such thing as forgiveness." The heart asked, "Then why did he look for you? He doesn't come with good intentions." Ning Shu said, "It's not a big deal. If you have something to do, you can go first." Ning Shu saw that the heart was afraid of Senior Uncle Tai. The heart said, "I'll stay for a while. If there's anything, I can take care of you. You can't beat him." Ning Shu said, "Thank you, but it's not about a fight." Ning Shu sat opposite Senior Uncle Tai again. Seeing that Senior Uncle Tai had finished eating and wiped his mouth, Ning Shu said, "His soul was annihilated. How can he still be alive? Did he get into my body again?" Ning Shu checked her body from head to toe, left to right, but she couldn't find anything. Senior Uncle Tai said, "Spiritual power." Ning Shu said, "Spiritual power. A wisp of spiritual power can be reborn." Senior Uncle Tai adjusted his glasses. "Yes, a wisp of spiritual power. Some people can be reborn and nurtured again." "Oh my God!" Ning Shu almost jumped up. It must be Zhengqing's spiritual power that ran into her body. Ning Shu hurriedly said to Senior Uncle Tai, "Quick, help me check. You must find it." Even a wisp of spiritual power was a hidden danger. Ning Shu really wanted to kill Zhengqing. Why was there no end to it? Was she supposed to be a hotbed for Zhengqing? If Zhengqing came back to life, she would be in trouble again. Zhengqing was so arrogant. Ning Shu had never thought of getting any benefits from Zhengqing. Not to mention getting any benefits, she would kill him like an ant. Senior Uncle Tai started to check, including Ning Shu's sea of consciousness. The check took a long time, and Ning Shu waited for the results. After a long time, as if time had frozen, Senior Uncle Tai withdrew his spiritual power and said, No, it's very clean. There's no other abnormal spiritual power. Ning Shu was very doubtful. Really? If Senior Uncle Tai found out, he would pretend that he didn't find anything. If Zheng Qing really had a chance to escape, he could use a wisp of spiritual power to revive Zheng Qing. This was good for Senior Uncle Tai. Since he could solve the problem of the Sea of Law, he could also revive Zheng Qing. Ning Shu grinned and looked straight at Senior Uncle Tai. Really? Compared to Zheng Qing was obviously more important to Senior Uncle Tai. If she really became an incubator, she would be a dispensable incubator to others. It didn't matter whether she lived or died. As long as Zheng Qing hatched, it would be fine. It wasn't that Ning Shu was overthinking, but the reality was like this. Why was Zheng Qing's soul still lingering? Ning Shu was getting more and more annoyed by Senior Uncle Tai. He threw Zheng Qing to her, and Zheng Qing did something to her body. After that, her spiritual power was absorbed several times. Now, such a situation had actually happened. I bought a watch last year. Ning Shu slammed the table and said with a cold face, there should be a limit to bullying people. Don't piss them off. She was really tired of Zheng Qing and Senior Uncle Tai. Senior Uncle Tai, I said no, that means no. Don't be crazy. Ning Shu, please get lost. Senior Uncle Tai turned around and left. Ning Shu slammed the table. Eat and dash. Pay the bill. And you're a judge? A judge who eats and dashes. If you don't want me to spread this name throughout the organization, you should leave. Senior Uncle Tai glanced at Ning Shu and took out his ID card to pay the bill. Ning Shu was just testing. Seeing Senior Uncle Tai like this, her heart became colder and colder. Chapter 3480. If there was a 20% chance that Zheng Qing was still alive before, then the probability was now 60%. 60% was a conservative estimate. At least the probability was 80%. It was just that she couldn't detect it now. The grand uncle paid the bill and left. Ning Shu looked at the grand uncle's back and clicked his tongue. She seemed to be really retarded. Otherwise, these people wouldn't have coaxed her like this. If the grand uncle had said that a wisp of Zheng Qing's spiritual power and will was really in her body to help nourish her, Ning Shu might not have been so angry. In the process of nourishment, it might even absorb her energy. This was too much. Believe it or not, she would commit suicide and give birth to a new will of death. However, it wasn't worth it to die with Zheng Qing. If it really wasn't in her body, wouldn't she have died in vain? It was so annoying. Ning Shu just couldn't detect any problems. Ning Shu felt that the grand uncle didn't come to check this time, but to confirm it. To confirm whether Zheng Qing was in her body. Zheng Qing looked at Ning Shu's gloomy expression and asked, "Are you okay?" Ning Shu's face was ferocious. When he saw the heart, he suddenly remembered that the heart was formed from a spiritual stone vein and was naturally sensitive to spiritual power. If he let the heart check, he might find some clues. Ning Shu's ferocious face suddenly became like a spring breeze, revealing 8 little teeth and smiling cutely at the heart. Xian's whole body trembled. The speed at which she changed her face was too fast. Xian could not forget that this girl was a cold-hearted person. When she sent him away, she had a cold and hard face. Now that she was smiling like this, the heart was scared. Ning Shu said to the heart, "Help me check my body. Don't miss any abnormalities, especially strange spiritual power or will." The heart blushed. "That's not good. I want to check your body and see if consciousness. That's equivalent to taking off all your clothes. It's not good to be naked." Ning Shu was speechless. "Just do as I say. Why are you thinking so much?" "Hurry up," Ning Shu said to the heart. "When you're done, I'll treat you to a good meal. I'll use the best." Her heart was pounding as she shook her head. "No, I'll see you naked." Ning Shu was speechless. She didn't know what her heart was doing. She was already a soul and didn't have a body. What was her heart doing? Ning Shu took a deep breath. "I'm a soul." The heart said, "Even if it's a soul, it still has what it should have. Don't look, don't look." The heart closed its eyes as it spoke. Ning Shu was speechless. "It doesn't matter. I'll let you check my sea of consciousness. Don't even let go of a strand of my hair. I'll let you see. Ning Shu was a little upset now. Her heart still shook her head. That's not good. Men and women shouldn't touch each other, let alone look at each other's bodies. Ning Shu face-bombed. What kind of books were they reading? Could it be the 4 books and 5 classics? Were they books read by some pedantic Confucian scholars? Now that their lives were at stake, they were still so lovey-dovey. Ning Shu glared at him. The heart immediately rubbed its hands. Then I'll check. Its expression was a little wretched. Ning Shu immediately rolled his eyes. The heart began to check Ning Shu's body. It felt that the heart's spiritual power lingered a little longer in the sensitive areas. Ning Shu was speechless. He felt that his heart was now an adolescent child. It was very curious about a woman's body, restless and hazy. When he was still a minor, how many dirty words had he heard? How many animals had he seen? Worthy? Ning Shu resisted the urge to pull out his heart and let him check. The heart check took a little long. In the end, it withdrew its spiritual power and shook its head at Ning Shu. There's nothing unusual. You're overthinking. But your spiritual power is much stronger than before. Previously, his spiritual power was only the size of a ping-pong ball. Now it was as strong as the stars in the sky. In the future, his spiritual power would be inexhaustible. Ning Shu asked, "Is there really no external spiritual power or will? Don't you feel it yourself? If there was any foreign invasion, you would definitely feel it." "There's nothing," the heart said with certainty. Ning Shu held her forehead. Could it be that she was really overthinking and paranoid? But as long as it was related to Jingqing, nothing good would come out of it. But Ning Shu believed in her own feelings. There was no need for the heart to lie to her. Then it might not have been discovered. Ning Shu wiped her face. She could only think of it as a temporary solution. Maybe after a while, there would definitely be some clues. Fairy, the time was too short. She couldn't detect anything. Ning Shu could only put this matter aside. Seeing the heart's face and ears turning red, she was speechless. Ning Shu asked the kitchen to make some delicious food for the heart to eat at home. The previous ED had already gone into his stomach. As he peeked, he stuffed food into his mouth. ED had eaten all of it. The heart moved to Ning Shu's side like a little wife. It whispered to Ning Shu, "Don't let anyone check your body in the future." Ning Shu, gun. She was just a spiritual body. The heart acted as if it had really seen something. It wasn't a big deal, but the heart was really a little unbearable. "Take these things back to eat. You can go now. Don't keep saying Liang waiting for you," Ning Shu said. She was in a bad mood and wasn't in the mood to entertain the heart. The heart made an "oh" sound and left with the things. It looked back 3 times with every step. Ning Shu waved at it. The heart was also silly. Ning Shu waved back. Ning Shu covered his face. How stupid. In order to let the restaurant's chef do his best to make the best dishes, Ning Shu decided to guard the restaurant for a while and tidy it up. And Ning Shu also needed time to check his body now, although 2 people had already said that he was fine. However, Ning Shu still checked herself over and over again. She didn't get tired of it. Ning Shu now knew that some existences were just a wisp of spiritual power. A wisp of will could actually be reborn. He thought that it would be fine as long as the soul dissipated. In the end, there was such a thing. For ordinary mission enforcers, disappearing into thin air meant disappearing into thin air. However, for someone like the Minister of Justice, he had to leave himself a way out. She had spent a lot of time with Jingqing. Jingqing wouldn't be stupid enough to run to the grand uncle, so it could be her. No matter how she looked at it, it could be her. Because the boss was in charge, the restaurant's employees worked very hard. The tables and floor were wiped clean. The hygiene was very good. In fact, there was no such thing as dust in the law space. But the employees tried their best to perform in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu just watched, neither praising nor objecting. Chapter 3481. Ning Shu's behavior made these employees feel uneasy. The psychological pressure was so great that they didn't even know where to put their hands and feet. Ning Shu strolled back and forth between the two restaurants. These two kelp restaurants were also her property, so she needed to be careful. The people working in the restaurants were all ordinary souls. Although they had skills, they had no power at all. They needed to earn some merit and swallow merit to give their souls the golden light of merit. With the golden light of merit, they might be able to enter the soul army. Even if they couldn't enter the army, if the boss was kind enough to let them go to the afterlife, with merit, they could be reborn into a good family. In short, merit was a good thing, and ordinary souls were accumulating merit. Ning Shu used to have a carefree attitude and rarely came to the restaurant, causing the people below to be lazy. Now that Ning Shu was serious, the employees didn't dare to be lazy and perfunctory anymore. The most intuitive manifestation was that the dishes were much more exquisite. Regardless of the taste of the dishes, at least the dishes looked good and made people feel comfortable, right? Ning Shu occasionally went to the Time City to comprehend the law of time. Although there was no law of time outside, after such a long time, there was still a little power of law left, and he could still comprehend it. However, with the passage of time, these residual power of law would gradually disappear. Now, there were still people coming to the Time City to comprehend it. Ning Shu had absorbed the enlightenment given by the Cheongsam man before, so he was ignorant about the law of time. While there was still some law left, he should comprehend it more. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to comprehend it in the future. Ning Shu went to the Cheongsam man's restaurant. When the Cheongsam man saw Ning Shu, he snorted. "What good treasure did you find?" Ning Shu said. "Someone else got to the good treasure first. You've made a wedding dress for someone else." The Cheongsam man immediately gloated. "Who told you not to take me?" Did he really think that everything would be smooth with a mascot? He was thinking too much. Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man, "I've absorbed your enlightenment, but I'm still confused. Tell me more." The man in the Cheongsam was the embodiment of the law of time. It would be a waste not to ask. The man in the Cheongsam said, "When it comes to comprehending something, you'll be able to comprehend everything. No matter how much I say, it's useless. You still have to rely on yourself to comprehend it. I'm also comprehending the spatial laws now. It's a little torturous." The Cheongsam man asked, "Do you want to eat?" Ning Shu shook his head. Recently, he had been staying in the restaurant and eating whenever he had nothing to do. He didn't feel like eating anymore. "Recently, my mood has been a little low, so I want to binge eat and eat too much," Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man. "After comprehending the law of space, you can comprehend a law. Now, Awan has comprehended a law." Awan was already a big shot, and she was steadily becoming a big shot. Awan's foundation was very solid. However, Ning Shu felt that he was poisonous. Staying with him was more likely to lead to bad luck. Now that Awan's soul was still transparent, it would be difficult for her to do normal missions. It was like going for wool and coming home shorn. This time, Awan suffered a huge loss. At least she had a marble to throw into the water-potted plant, but Awan had nothing. "Law." The Cheongsam man frowned. Ning Shu said, "Law is of a higher level than law. Comprehend it." Thinking of the old and decaying sea of law, if the sea of law collapsed, ordinary mission enforcers like the Cheongsam man would probably really kneel. They probably wouldn't be able to survive in the void. Mission enforcers and organizations relied on each other and benefited each other. Without mission enforcers, the plane would easily have problems. If mission enforcers didn't have organizations, they wouldn't be able to survive. In short, it was a relationship of mutual dependence. The Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu and asked, "You've comprehended the law?" Ning Shu nodded. "Yes." The Cheongsam man said, "When did you run ahead of me?" Ning Shu said, "When you were flirting, I ran ahead of you." He flirted with girls when he had nothing to do. The Cheongsam man was speechless. Ning Shu began to comprehend the law of time. The Cheongsam man walked away and didn't disturb him. Ning Shu let go of his thoughts and stopped thinking about Jingqing. It was useless to think about it now. He couldn't find anything even after checking. Even if Jingqing was really reborn, he didn't have that huge body and innately powerful strength. What was there to be afraid of? Ning Shu suddenly wanted to let Jingqing live. A high and mighty person suddenly became an ant. How uncomfortable would that be? She wanted to bully the ant. She wanted to bully Jingqing. She had to seize the time to become stronger. When the time came, even if Jingqing really jumped out, she could give Jingqing a big slap. The law of time was really complicated and profound. Ning Shu felt as if he had entered a kaleidoscope. It was so dazzling that it made him dizzy. Ning Shu was so dizzy that he felt like vomiting. This was time. Ning Shu couldn't take it anymore and opened his eyes. High-level law wasn't that easy to comprehend. Ning Shu held his head and felt that it was really heavy. The Cheongsam man said to Ning Shu, "Haste makes waste. Take it slow." I also comprehended it for a long time. Nothing is achieved overnight. Ning Shu nodded and poured water to drink. "My head hurts." "It's okay. You'll get used to it." This is the after-effect of comprehending. When I was at my worst, I directly fainted. Ning Shu immediately relaxed. If everyone was like this, then there was nothing to worry about. The Cheongsam man Ning Shu asked, "What law did you comprehend? What's the use of it?" Ning Shu said, "The law of time is actually similar to the law of time, but it's of a higher level. With the law of time, you can participate in other jobs. Good luck." Ning Shu supported his head. He felt that his head was very heavy. It was filled with heavy water. The Cheongsam man sized up Ning Shu. Ning Shu couldn't stand his dirty gaze. "What are you looking at?" The Cheongsam man said, "How many things did you secretly do behind my back? Why do you change every day?" Ning Shu said, "I've always been strong. I have to go back and lie down for a while. My head hurts." He didn't expect to feel the pain of motion sickness after becoming a soul. Ning Shu held his head and returned to the system space. He lay on the sofa and began to sleep. When he woke up, his head still hurt. It was even more painful than comprehending the law of time. It was dazzling. Ning Shu asked, "Are you going to do the mission now?" Ning Shu said, "No, I want to rest for a while." The main thing was the matter of Jingqing, the restaurant, and comprehending the law of time. After a long time, the remaining law of time in the Law City would gradually disappear. While there was still some law of time left, he should comprehend more. Dan Qing said, "Then you rest well." Ning Shu said, "Okay, you do your thing. Don't worry about me." The system was also human and had its own things to do. Don't stare at it all the time. Dan Qing said, "My task is to take care of you, supervise you, and serve you." Chapter 3482. Every time he heard Dan Qing say that, Ning Shu felt that he was a scumbag because he didn't want the system to focus all its attention on him. Please look at the most complete. Read more chapter on novel. Fodder asked Ning Shu, "You don't want to do the mission because you think that damned person isn't dead yet and might even use you again." Ning Shu shook his head. "No, I don't care." Life and death were indifferent. If Jingqing could really survive, Ning Shu felt that she might have a chance to settle her grudges with Jingqing in the future. But if Jingqing really died like this, Ning Shu thought about it carefully and felt a little unwilling. A wisp of spiritual power, a wisp of will, starting over from a weak chicken. Ning Shu felt excited just thinking about it. In the future, he could bully Jingqing like a little chick. It would be great if Jingqing lived or died. She didn't want to do the mission now because she wanted to seize the time to understand the law of time. She also wanted to see if there were any abnormalities. Ning Shu still had this bit of time and wasn't afraid of wasting it. Dan Qing didn't say anything. Whatever Ning Shu said, he couldn't control Ning Shu's thoughts. Anyway, Dan Qing had grown up and she seemed to be a stepmother, so she couldn't say anything. Ning Shu stayed in the restaurant again, which made the restaurant's staff nervous. Was the boss going to stay here every day in the future? He couldn't even be lazy. Ning Shu stayed in the Cheongsam man's restaurant most of the time. The Cheongsam man went back to do the mission and was occasionally not there. Seeing Ning Shu in the restaurant, the Cheongsam man's staff ignored Ning Shu. Occasionally, they would ask Ning Shu what he needed and give Ning Shu some tea. At other times, they ignored him. This state was exactly what Ning Shu needed. Ning Shu really wanted to vomit because he was very dizzy. Comprehending the laws of time couldn't be done for too long. Ning Shu felt as if his head had been turned into a pile of mush. Ning Shu paid the bill and returned to his restaurant. As soon as he entered the restaurant and saw the heart, Ning Shu held his head and asked, "Why are you here?" Was there nothing to do with his heart? Heart giggled and said to Ning Shu, "I said that I would treat you to something delicious. It took me a long time to make this. Have a taste." Ning Shu. What a glutton. Heart opened the jar, and white smoke slowly rose from the jar. An indescribable fragrance spread out. It was not the kind of fragrance that came from the accumulation of spices and seasonings, but a natural and fragrant smell. The heart scooped up a bowl of soup and some meat and handed it to Ning Shu. "Hurry up and eat. Although it looks ordinary, it's really delicious. It's good for your soul." Under the expectant gaze of the heart, Ning Shu picked up the bowl and took a sip. The soup was a little hot, but it was very warm. It was as comfortable as drinking mutton soup on a cold day. Even his soul became warm and comfortable. Generally speaking, ordinary ingredients were not very useful for the soul, but after drinking this bowl of soup, Ning Shu felt a little clearer in his dizzy head. Heart looked at Ning Shu with bright eyes and asked, "Is it delicious?" Ning Shu nodded and praised, "It's really delicious." "What is this?" The soup was rich and delicious, and he didn't know what kind of creature the meat was, but it also tasted very good. After eating it, Ning Shu felt as if he was filled with energy. Ning Shu scooped another bowl for himself and said to the heart, "You eat too." "Heart, I've already eaten. I said that I would treat you to something delicious." Ning Shu didn't refuse. "If you don't eat, then I'll eat everything." "You eat. These are all for you." Previously, Ning Shu ate for the sake of satisfying her appetite. Now, this goo meat soup could improve her condition. Ning Shu had an unprecedented desire to eat, as if he was starving. It was very satisfying. Ning Shu burped and asked the heart with a satisfied expression, "What is this delicious food?" It was different from ordinary ingredients. Heart blinked. "Just, Ning Shu, I really don't know." "Heart, didn't you go to the void to capture newly born creatures?" Ning Shu was very surprised. He pointed at the soup and asked, "Are you talking about those creatures?" Heart nodded. "Yes, I asked Sang Liang for them. I secretly brought some for you." Ning Shu raised her eyebrows. Could it be that those captured creatures were really eaten as food? Those were creatures that were born with a higher starting point than others. Now that they had been turned into a meal, Ning Shu felt that it was a bit wasteful. It couldn't be more wasteful. A creature like this could be compared to many soul armies, and it took a lot of manpower and resources to nurture an army. Ning Shu smacked his lips. He felt that this soup was the most luxurious thing he had ever eaten. Heart shook his head. Only a small portion of them were eaten. The rest won't be eaten. They definitely have to be nurtured. Ning Shu, eating a portion and nurturing a portion, wouldn't the survivors hold a grudge? Heart tilted its head and asked, "What grudge? Would they hold a grudge because they ate their brothers and sisters? There's no such thing. Survival requires a certain amount of effort, and the survivors wouldn't care about that at all, let alone take revenge for their brothers and sisters. Survival is already so difficult, yet they still want to use this kind of thing to crush themselves and burden themselves." Heart thought for a moment. It seems that only humans would care about this and be trapped in this kind of thinking. Strictly speaking, they happen to be of the same race and were born at the same time. What kind of deep and indelible feelings do they have? Heart couldn't understand Ning Shu's words at all. Ning Shu glanced at him and didn't say anything. She was a human in the first place, and it was inevitable that she thought about things with a human's mind. Well, she should broaden her horizons. But the meat was really delicious. Ning Shu savored the aftertaste. If it weren't for the fact that he had to maintain his image, he really wanted to lick the bowl. Her heart had given her something so delicious and full of energy. Ning Shu couldn't keep a straight face when she saw XN. As long as the heart didn't entangle her with its mental tentacles and prevent her from going anywhere, Ning Shu wouldn't have any feelings of resistance. The young man was still thinking about her when he was eating good food. Ning Shu asked the heart with a smile. Does Sang Liang eat this every day? Heart shook its head. No, he rarely does. He only ate a little this time because of this. He usually doesn't eat anything. I think. Heart leaned closer to Ning Shu and said sneakily, I think he's not human. How can he not eat? Ning Shu, he's not human in the first place. It's rare for an inhuman existence like Heart to be so greedy. /BK. Chapter 3483. Ning Shu rubbed her stomach. This was the first time she felt the satisfaction of eating after becoming a soul. Ning Shu looked at the heart and asked, Won't Sang Liang reprimand you for running around like this? Recently, the heart had been running around for no reason. The heart shook its head. As long as I don't do anything out of line, he won't care about me. The food I gave you is delicious, right? I'll bring you fruits next time. Ning Shu. Thank you. The heart, you're welcome. Ning Shu saw the shy look on the heart's face and his heart skipped a beat. What's with that expression? The heart looked at Ning Shu with stars in its eyes. I want to experience the love and emotions that humans have always talked about. I heard that it makes people feel worried and want to die for it. Ning Shu. I won't let you have a taste of women. She was a soul and didn't have a physical body. The foundation of love was reproduction. She didn't even need to reproduce. Snuggle with each other? Ning Shu was busy. And she had always treated the heart as a little kid. A little kid was just curious. The heart looked at Ning Shu from the corner of its eyes. I'm not such a superficial person. Didn't they say that there's platonic love? It's separated from the material world. This is the most noble and pure. Ning Shu. The heart wanted to do everything a person did and feel it. There was no one else like it. It was just a child's curiosity. It should have found anyone but her. The heart probably only had a fledgling complex for her and nothing else existed. Ning Shu said, You should find a strange woman to experience love with. Think about it, from strangers to acquaintances and then to being together. This process can't be left out. The heart, I don't know any other women. Ning Shu. I knew it. If it couldn't find anyone, it would randomly find someone. Ning Shu looked at it from the corner of his eyes. Doesn't Sang Liang have a woman by his side? Get to know more girls. However, the girls who had contact with Sang Liang probably didn't like the heart. They weren't people who indulged in love. Everyone had more important things to do, so they didn't have time to play games with their hearts. XN shook her head. No, those girls aren't cute. I don't want to play with them. Ning Shu, show me your masculine charm. Come on, I don't have time to play with you. Xian pouted. I'm not playing around. I've asked Sang Liang. He said that love is to treat a person well. Ning Shu was truly astonished. He's a 10,000-year-old bachelor, yet he knows about this. In any case, this group of men were all extremely fast and had been single for 10,000 years. Even saying that they had been together for 10,000 years was too short. Xian's eyes sparkled. Me being nice to you is love. Ning Shu reached out and patted the dog's head. What a kid. You'll know when you grow up, Ning Shu said kindly. At this moment, his heart said that it was love. Perhaps he would soon meet someone he truly liked. A child's temperament was fine. The heart retorted Ning Shu, How can you say that what I feel for you is not love? Ning Shu retorted, Then how can you prove that what you feel for me is love? Xn, I want to give you the best food and the best things. How can it not be called love? Ning Shu hesitated for a moment before saying, All right, if you think it's love, then it's love. In any case, what the heart felt for her was definitely not love. At most, it was a little dependent. Xn smiled and said to Ning Shu with sparkling eyes, Then it's love between us. Ning Shu felt that this feeling was like that of a kindergarten child. Holding hands and kissing cheeks was love. Ning Shu looked at his heart as if he was looking at an idiot. As long as you're happy. Xn took the soup pot away and said angrily, I won't send you food next time. Ning Shu. The doll walked into the restaurant. Ning Shu saw the doll and asked, Did something happen? The doll's voice was very charming. He said, "Recently, I've observed a group of people gathering together and whispering to each other. I don't know what's going on, so I came to inform you." Ning Shu took the matter to heart. He nodded and said to the doll, "Keep an eye on them. Inform me if there's any problem." The heart looked askance at the handsome puppet and asked coldly, "Who is he?" Ning Shu rolled his eyes. "Why do you care who he is?" The doll stood there with a blank face and did not say anything. The heart did not like him. XNXN asked, "Are you in love with him?" Ning Shu, "Are you in love with a piece of wood?" The doll was a robot, a beautiful robot. XNXN scanned the doll with her mental power and found that the things inside the doll were different from those of ordinary people. Only then did the heart snort a few times like a pig and swagger away. The doll knew nothing about XNXIN's emotions and went to do his own thing. Ning Shu began to digest what he had eaten this time. To be honest, Ning Shu was a little excited. This was the first time he had eaten something from the void. It was so delicious and full of energy. No wonder the silver-haired man did not eat anything else. Everything else was trash. Eating was a waste of time. XNXN was so lucky to be able to eat delicious things at any time. Ning Shu smacked his lips and continued to comprehend the time laws. She was waiting for Zheng Qing to do something. She did not believe that nothing would happen. She could use this time to comprehend the time laws. The man in the Cheongsam came back from a mission. He walked to Ning Shu and asked, "What did you eat? It smells so good." Ning Shu raised his hand and sniffed. "You smell it?" The man in the Cheongsam nodded. "I smell it. What did you eat? It smells so good." The man in the Cheongsam was a little hungry. "Treat me to some too." The fragrance really lingered in the mouth and lasted for a long time. Someone treated me to it too. This kind of thing can't be sold. The starting point was the meat of the void creatures, which was higher than all the mission takers. It felt like a divine dragon to ordinary humans. The man in the Cheongsam said stingy and changed the topic to Ning Shu. "Do you want to go to the void world together to look for treasures or something?" Ning Shu shook his head like a rattle drum. His luck had not been very good recently, so he did not want to go to the void world stubbornly. What if he encountered some unusual world again? His soul power was weak now. If he encountered an uncontrollable situation, his soul might become completely transparent like Ah Wan. The man in the Cheongsam complained, "Why did you become so timid all of a sudden?" Ning Shu was speechless. He had always been timid. Ning Shu asked the man in the Cheongsam some questions about the time laws. Perhaps it was because of the meat. Ning Shu was not so dizzy when he tried to comprehend the time laws again. His mind was not so confused. It was really good stuff. He still wanted to eat it. Ning Shu asked the man in the Cheongsam about the time laws. Chapter 3484. Ning Shu felt that she was about to reach the threshold of the time law, but she was just one step away from it. However, Ning Shu was not in a hurry. After all, she had not been comprehending the time law for long. The enlightenment crystal given by the man in the Cheongsam had already shortened a lot of time. It would definitely be shorter than comprehending the space law. To return the favor, Ning Shu asked the man in the Cheongsam, "How's your comprehension of the space law going?" Ning Shu was not the embodiment of the space law, so she could not give the man in the Cheongsam an enlightenment crystal. Thinking about how she had been tortured by the space law, Ning Shu was full of sympathy for the man in the Cheongsam. She could not help him. The man in the Cheongsam said, "Let's not talk about it. You stay here. I'm going to the space city. I have to comprehend more while there are still some laws left. Maybe I won't be able to comprehend them in the future." The man in the Cheongsam left, but he came back after a while. Ning Shu said, "By the way, I forgot something. Something happened to my tree of world. What about yours?" Ning Shu didn't know what to say because her tree of world had absorbed a lot of energy in the void. Now it was different. Therefore, Ning Shu couldn't give any advice on the changes to the Cheongsam man's tree of world. Ning Shu said to the man in the Cheongsam, "I'm fine. What's wrong with your tree of world? If you can't figure it out, you can spend some money to go to the consultation room. By the way, don't you have a faction behind you? You can ask them. The man in the Cheongsam was someone with a powerful background. The man in the Cheongsam thought for a while and nodded. I'll ask someone else. Ning Shu asked, May I ask what's wrong with your tree of world? The man in the Cheongsam said, I don't know why, but it's starting to wither. The leaves are curling. I'm afraid it will wither. Ning Shu was speechless. How can this happen? The tree of world can wither. Is there not enough energy, or is there enough energy to cause this? Plants would wither when fertilizers were given. The man in the Cheongsam was a little worried. I don't know, so I'm asking if your tree of world is like this. Ning Shu said, Go ask the person behind you. I have to tell you something like this. The Cheongsam man shook his head and frowned, not saying a word. Ning Shu, if it's really difficult, just spend some money to go to the consultation room. As long as you pay, you'll get the answer. It's very satisfying. The Cheongsam man nodded. Then I'll go and ask. Ning Shu tilted his head and looked at Ning Shu. Why don't you ask the people in the faction? The Cheongsam man just smiled and said nothing else. Ning Shu propped up his chin and looked at the Cheongsam man. What's wrong? You don't get along well with people from the faction. The Cheongsam man said, You don't understand. If you accept a certain amount of help, you'll owe them a favor. So, why don't you just go straight to the consultation room? It's good that you're done with the goods, and you don't have to owe anyone anything. Actually, it was more comfortable to do business with strangers. Can I have a look at your world tree? Ning Shu was very curious about what was wrong with the Cheongsam man's world tree. Was it a lack of energy or an excess of energy that caused the world tree to become like this? The world tree emerged from the Cheongsam man's palm. Just as the Cheongsam man said, the leaves of the world tree were a little yellow and not lush. It was like a blade of grass under the scorching sun. Ning Shu pointed at the world tree. Looks like the situation is a little serious. I'm afraid your world tree is going to kneel down. The Cheongsam man, could he be more tactful? Ning Shu said, How about I water your world tree? The Cheongsam man. This was not a sapling, why would he water it? Even if the world tree was a sapling, it was not an ordinary sapling. Could it be cured by watering it? He was thinking too much. Ning Shu thought for a while and condensed a drop of green water on his fingertip. He dripped it on the world tree. After absorbing the water, the world tree became a little more lively. Its curled leaves stretched a little. Ning Shu said, See, your world tree is short of water. The Cheongsam man. He looked left and right at the world tree. The world tree is short of water? Ning Shu said, To be precise, it is short of nourishing energy. Hee, my water rule and wood rule are very good. The Cheongsam man immediately smiled flatteringly at Ning Shu. Okay, help me do it again. Ning Shu touched his sideburns with a proud expression and grunted. The Cheongsam man immediately brought the waiter over and said, You can eat whatever you want. It's my treat. Ning Shu immediately waved his hand. Forget it, I'm not eating. After eating a mouthful of venomous insect meat, Ning Shu felt full. It was the first time he felt full as a soul after becoming a soul. He also had some indigestion. It was probably the first time he had eaten something like this. His soul was not used to it. It's not a big deal. I'll help you. Ning Shu condensed a lot of green water droplets and dripped them on the world tree. The world tree greedily absorbed the vitality. Ning Shu said, There shouldn't be a lack of energy. It's probably lacking vitality. If you want to find more treasures, you have to find something with vitality. The Cheongsam man nodded. Thank you. Gradually, the world tree's curled leaves stretched out. Although it was still weak, at least there was some vitality now. It seemed that the world tree was about to die in the previous situation. The Cheongsam man heaved a sigh of relief. It's okay. Thank you. I'll treat you to something. Ning Shu quickly waved his hand. No, I'm so full now. Don't talk about food. I want to vomit. The Cheongsam man said, The water rule and wood rule are so good. Ning Shuki pursed his lips. Come on, I used a bit of the rules in there. There should be some life rules in it. Although she was the will of death, the life rules were still there. The Cheongsam man nodded and suddenly sat down dispiritedly. Ning Shu asked, "What's wrong with you? You look like a dead pig." The Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu and asked, "Don't you think I'm very weak?" Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Why do you think so? Could it be that the Cheongsam man was brave after being humiliated?" The Cheongsam man was not weak. The Cheongsam man said, "I feel so weak." Ning Shu shook his head and said, "There's always someone better than you. There's always someone better." The big shots in the organization were very powerful. Compared to the mission enforcers in the organization, they were very powerful. They were like mountains that people looked up to. However, compared to the creatures in the void, these big shots could not be looked at. It depended on who they were compared to. Ning Shu said to the Cheongsam man, "You're not weak. Compared to the mission enforcers, you're not weak." There were countless ordinary mission enforcers. The mission enforcers were like a pyramid. At the bottom, the mission enforcers with the most ordinary strength were the most. At the top of the pyramid, there were the least. The Cheongsam man should be in the middle of the pyramid. He should be the backbone. He was the main force of the organization, the backbone. Chapter 3485. Most of the low-level mission enforcers weren't very experienced and weren't very strong. Their elimination rate was the highest. The middle-level mission enforcers were already familiar with the organization and were familiar with the missions. Missions still depended on the middle-level mission enforcers. It wasn't easy to nurture the higher-ups. It took a long time to nurture them and there weren't many of them. As for Ning Shu felt that he should be above the middle level. He had almost drowned in the deep waters of the higher-level mission. Anyway, the Cheongsam man wasn't weak. Now, the Cheongsam man was a little emotional. He wasn't like this in the past. Ning Shu said, "We have plenty of time. Take it slow. Don't tell me you're having an emotional breakdown." The Cheongsam man said, "I'm having an emotional breakdown. I feel like I'm stuck in the same spot." Ning Shu shook his head. "No, I feel that being alive is the greatest victory. You don't know how it feels to be dead." Thinking back to the time when he was about to die, he had no choice. He didn't want to die in such a pathetic manner. He might as well just kill himself. Don't be dissatisfied. He thought about Mei Ziqing. Ning Shu had forgotten about Mei Ziqing. As time passed, those who had disappeared would eventually be forgotten. Although it wasn't fair, it was just like that. Only those who survived had a future. The Cheongsam man sighed. "That's true. I was too impatient. I can't do it in one go." "Okay, thank you. Next time, help me with the world tree." Ning Shu rolled his eyes. "Why should I?" The Cheongsam man said, "Good friends help each other. Next time, I'll help too." Ning Shu nodded. "Okay then. How's your tree of world?" The Cheongsam man asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at him from the corner of his eyes. "It's not good to rely on my world tree. My world tree is doing very well. I even went to the void and absorbed some energy. My world tree might form faster than yours." The Cheongsam man said, "I'm so jealous." Ning Shu, be jealous. Jealousy will make you ugly. While Ning Shu and the Cheongsam man were talking, a guest came in. At first, he thought that it was an ordinary customer. However, when the Cheongsam man saw this customer, his expression changed and he walked towards him with a serious expression. Ning Shu was a little far away, so he couldn't hear what they were talking about. However, judging from their attitudes, that person seemed to be superior to the Cheongsam man. He seemed to be superior to the Cheongsam man. The man in the Cheongsam was a law of time, after all. Since he had such an attitude towards the man in the Cheongsam, it was likely that he was stronger than the man in the Cheongsam. The man in the Cheongsam took out some things and handed them to the man. The man checked the things in the space and didn't say anything. He just looked at the man in the Cheongsam. The Cheongsam man frowned and took out his ID card to swipe it. Only then was the man slightly satisfied. However, the Cheongsam man's expression did not look too good. He felt like he was here to collect a debt. Could this person be the Cheongsam man's creditor? Ning Shu saw that the Cheongsam man's expression was not good and asked, "Are you a creditor? Did you owe someone a debt outside?" The Cheongsam man shook his head. No, it's from a faction. Ning Shu said, Oh, do you have to pay a fixed tribute? Since he was a member of a faction, the Cheongsam man had to contribute to the faction. He had to contribute money and strength. Ning Shu said, What's wrong? You look unhappy. The Cheongsam man sighed. Sometimes, I really envy you. Ning Shu supported his chin and looked at the Cheongsam man with his almond eyes. Why do you say that? Why are you envious of me? She had been alone and she didn't know how many detours she had taken. The Cheongsam man had a faction. If anything happened, he would definitely have someone to protect him. She was alone. What was there to be envious of? Sometimes, when she was alone, she was really badly beaten. Ning Shu didn't think there was anything to be envious of. She had to shoulder everything on her own. The Cheongsam man said, I'm just envious of you being alone. You have so much freedom. You don't have any restrictions at all. How good is that? Why couldn't I resist the temptation back then? I took a shortcut first. Actually, there are no shortcuts in this world. It was easy at the time, but I have to pay it back later. Ning Shu said, Is it because that person took your things? But since you've joined a faction, you must pay something. Paying tribute was basic. The Cheongsam man said, I know, but I've been giving more and more things. I can't take it anymore. Cultivation resources were very important. Now that the Cheongsam man had given his resources to others, he would have none. Ning Shu said, Is it because everyone has so much, or is it because you have so much? The Cheongsam man said, It depends on the strength. The stronger you are, the more you give. But people who come to take things will be greedy. Ning Shu frowned. If you feel that you can't take it, you can say it yourself. Besides, you've been greedy. It was one thing to be greedy, but the person who took the things did not give him a good look. In any case, Ning Shu could not tolerate it. That person's attitude towards the Cheongsam man was really high and mighty. The Cheongsam man shook his head. Actually, it's useless to say it. Instead, it will make others hate you. Also, the good and the bad are mixed together. No one can make decisions for themselves. Ning Shu said, Your circle is really messy. The Cheongsam man said, It is a little messy. Ning Shu asked, Then have you thought of not staying in this faction? The Cheongsam man rolled his eyes at Ning Shu. How can it be so simple? I joined the faction back then, and now I want to leave the faction. The label of ingrate will be put on my head. When the time comes, people will say that I used the faction to grow. Now that I want to leave the faction, I will be pointed at by the people in the faction and scolded behind my back. People will say that if it weren't for the faction, I wouldn't have been able to grow at all. Ning Shu tilted his head and said, But what does your growth have to do with the faction? At most, you exchanged information. Besides, didn't you also pay tribute? Why do you owe the faction so much? Did the faction give the silver-haired man the Tree of World? Did the faction directly give the silver-haired man the imprint of the law of time? The silver-haired man found the Tree of World himself, comprehended the law of time himself, and completed the mission himself. How did it all become the faction's credit? The faction did not let the silver-haired man win. It would be better to find the silver-haired man. If he paid, he would only know his own answer. The Cheongsam man said, Probably because I was born in the faction and was protected by the faction, so I owe the faction for life. Ning Shu was speechless. Actually, this is not a big deal. But are you willing to let your things be eaten by a dog? Ning Shu asked. It was fine if he gave it to the faction. After all, it was what he should do. However, the extra things were taken away by someone else. Such a face was really unbearable. Chapter 3486. Even if you threw a bone to a dog, the dog would still wag its tail to show its affection. However, the hot-tempered Ning Shu couldn't stand the fact that she didn't get a good look after giving him something. However, this was the man in the Cheongsam's business and had nothing to do with her. The man in the Cheongsam waved his hand and said, Forget it, let's not talk about these things. The man in the Cheongsam probably did not have much money now. He still had to pay tribute and the restaurant's business was not very good. He would probably have to eat lotus root in the future. When he was really forced into a corner, he would probably do something. Otherwise, he would be forced to his death. Ning Shu said, "Your faction is not proper. Some people are secretly corrupt and no one cares?" The man in the Cheongsam said, "There's nothing to care about. It's just a small thing. Everyone can afford it. If we talk about it, we'll offend them." Ning Shu curled his lips. "If it's a small thing, your face won't be so ugly. It's your attitude that encourages his arrogance." The man in the Cheongsam said, "You can see through it but don't expose it." Ning Shu chuckled. "I like to expose it." No matter where it was, there would be many people who used their power for personal gain. The man in the Cheongsam said, "Wait until you're stronger." Ning Shu laughed. This was probably self-paralyzing. Wait until you're stronger. Wait a little longer." Ning Shu said, "Do you think the other party will just wait when you're stronger? Especially when he used his power to get a lot of good things for himself. Are you sure you can catch up?" The longer it dragged on, the worse it would be. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge, but the enemy was much stronger than 10 years ago. If it was not for the fact that he had no choice but to lie low, he would take revenge on the spot. Ning Shu said, "If you ask me, you should take the opportunity to make a scene and directly leave the faction." The man in the Cheongsam looked at Ning Shu. "Like you who made a scene and left the faction?" Ning Shu shook his head. "Making a scene is a method. No matter what the end result is, it's good for you. If you make a scene, the worst result is that you'll offend someone. In life, it was impossible not to offend anyone. If you wanted to climb up, you had to step on others' shoulders. You work hard, but in other people's stories, you are a bad person. If you want to live well and get more resources, you really have to step on others. There are only so many things. If you take more, others will take less. You are a bad person." The man in the Cheongsam looked at Ning Shu. "What gave you the courage to make such a scene?" Ning Shu sighed. "There are some things that you can only gamble with your life. The worst outcome is death. Don't be too simple about this. The worst that can happen is that you've offended someone from one of the factions. If you want to be an amiable person, you should avoid offending them as much as possible. Otherwise, you'll be the one suffering." In any case, the Cheongsam man gave Ning Shu the impression that he didn't have any sharp edges. He looked amiable. But the Cheongsam man opened his fan and slowly fanned himself. His eyes were fixed on Ning Shu. Ning Shu touched his face. "I'm telling you, don't be obsessed with me and bring me trouble." The Cheongsam man was speechless. "I'm thinking that you're right. There's a need to counterattack." The Cheongsam man narrowed his eyes slightly. The corners of his eyes were raised. He looked like a lazy fox. He had the means and the vision. If he didn't dare to do it, he would just want to compromise. It was better to avoid trouble. Ning Shu yawned. "Then I'll go. I have to go back to do the mission." The flesh of the creatures in the void wasn't that easy to digest. Ning Shu regretted eating too much. If he had known, he would have eaten less and gone to do the mission. Perhaps it would have been digested. The Cheongsam man grabbed Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu stared at the Cheongsam man's hand. "Are you trying to take advantage of me?" The Cheongsam man said, "You're thinking too much. I'm not trying to take advantage of you. In my heart, your gender is unknown." Ning Shu shook off the Cheongsam man's hand. "Why are you touching me? Don't go. I have something to do." Ning Shu's eyes lit up. "You want to cause trouble?" Not many people were willing to give their things to others. Seeing the Cheongsam man's sullen expression, Ning Shu asked curiously, "What do you want to do?" "Nothing much. I have some good things in my hands. I plan to give them to the faction." Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. He almost understood what was going on. "You are quite cunning, aren't you?" Ning Shu knew what the Cheongsam man was going to do with just this sentence. Using someone else to do the dirty work could also express his loyalty to the faction. Okay? Ning Shu said, "You've been holding it in for so long. Why can't you hold it in this time?" The Cheongsam man said, "You, a person of unknown gender, do things directly when you encounter things. I don't have to hold it in. I didn't think it was a big deal before, but now I want to cause trouble." The Cheongsam man first contacted the person in charge of the faction. He said that he had something for the faction and asked a certain person to take it back. Then, the Cheongsam man sent a message to the man from before to come over. He said that he had something to give to the faction. Soon the man came over. When he saw the Cheongsam man, he stretched out his hand and said, "What is it? Give it to me. I'll take it." The Cheongsam man took out a brocade box without saying anything. The box was locked and the Cheongsam man handed the key to him. "The thing inside is very precious. Don't open it casually." The Cheongsam man repeatedly told him not to open it because it was very precious. Seeing the Cheongsam man's cautious look, the man's eyes were filled with disdain. However, he nodded. "Okay, don't worry." The man took the box and left. The Cheongsam man fanned himself slowly and watched the man's back disappear. Ning Shu said, "I really want to see what precious thing is in the empty box. Isn't this person too arrogant?" He didn't even see what was in the box or if there was anything. The Cheongsam man smiled and took a sip of tea. That's because he was sure that no one would dare to play tricks in front of him. You've completely offended him. It was really interesting to make something out of nothing. Next, that person was probably going to be in trouble. The faction member wanted to give something to the faction, but in the end, it was stolen. When he handed it over, he didn't check it properly. When the time came, he wouldn't be able to explain himself clearly. Moreover, this person might even spit out what he had taken previously. In the faction, the Cheongsam man was definitely not the only one who had been robbed by this person. When the radish was pulled out, the mud would be brought out. When the time came, he would have to face much more serious things than now. Giving a gift was just an excuse. Even if he knew that he had been schemed against, some things were irrefutable evidence. Even if he wasn't wronged, he could still be considered wronged. That man probably had some strength and didn't think highly of the Cheongsam man. He probably wouldn't have thought that the Cheongsam man would do something. He didn't have the guts. But the Cheongsam man did. Chapter 3487. Ning Shu was about to leave, but he decided to stay and watch the show. He wanted to see the Cheongsam man's calm demeanor. He didn't panic at all even though he was scheming against someone. He could keep his composure. Ning Shu continued to comprehend the time laws. It was especially convenient for him to have a time law incarnation next to him. Especially now that the Cheongsam man's Tree of World was in trouble, he needed Ning Shu to give him a chance of survival. Now, he would naturally answer whatever Ning Shu asked. He would tell him everything he knew. Soon, the man from before returned. At the same time, there was another person with him. Both of them didn't look good. Ning Shu was immediately excited. He picked up a small stool and began to watch the show. It was really interesting to watch others. "Zuli, what do you mean? There's nothing in your box." Su Rong looked at the Cheongsam man unkindly. Su Rong was confused. He accepted the items. He didn't intend to hand them over to the faction. Many of the good items ended up in his pocket. However, Su Rong didn't expect Zuli to tell the faction to take credit. He was told to send the item over. He had no choice but to do so. In the end, when the box was opened, it was empty. There was nothing inside. Su Rong was furious. What did Zuli mean? He actually gave him an empty box. People who had survived until now weren't fools. Su Rong immediately sensed that the Cheongsam man was up to no good. He immediately pulled someone over to confront Zuli. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to clear his name. The Cheongsam man frowned. "I don't understand what you're saying. Do you mean that the item is missing? When I handed the item to you, I even gave you the key. You took it too. The item was clearly inside." The Cheongsam man's expression was very innocent and distressed. "It wasn't easy for me to find something good inside. How could it be missing?" "Su Rong, is that so?" the man who came with Su Rong asked him. Obviously, this person's status was higher than Su Rong's. When he questioned Su Rong panicked and immediately retorted, "I didn't take the item inside." The Cheongsam man, "Then what about the thing inside?" "Big brother Su, it's not that I don't trust you, but when I handed it to you, the thing was inside." Su Rong stared at the Cheongsam man. But we can't be sure if the thing is inside. Maybe there's nothing inside. The Cheongsam man's expression immediately turned solemn. I can swear that the item was indeed inside at that time. Did you check it afterwards? Now that you've taken over, you're the only one who knows where the item went. The Cheongsam man had a worried look on his face as he asked, Big Brother Su, did you really not take it? I already said that this is something to be offered to the faction. Su Rong was stared at by the person next to him. His forehead was about to break out in cold sweat. He immediately retorted, When you gave it to me, there was nothing in the box. The man in the Cheongsam said, Why did you take the box if you didn't have anything? I didn't check it at that time. Who knew that such a small person like you would scheme against me? Su Rong looked at the Cheongsam man with a gloomy expression. He felt like he had failed miserably. The Cheongsam man's expression became even more aggrieved and innocent. Big Brother Su, why would I scheme against you? We have no enmity between us. Why would I scheme against you? Isn't it because I usually took some of your things? Su Rong stopped talking. How would I know why you're scheming against me? Who knows if I've offended you in some way and you're holding a grudge against me? Ning Shu was eating melon seeds at the side and watching the show with relish. He felt that these people's catfight was quite good. He felt that the Cheongsam man was a little white flower. He was still so pitiful even when he was scheming against others. As for the referee, he was expressionless. He watched the two sides' performance without saying a word. He probably knew what was going on in his heart. No one was a fool. Su Rong was innocent, but he couldn't explain himself now. Using power for personal gain and stuffing his own pockets. If he wanted to explain one thing clearly, he couldn't explain another thing clearly. This was probably the Cheongsam man's goal. Su Rong's but wasn't clean. He had taken extra things from the faction members. No matter what, Su Rong had to suffer in silence. Su Rong, what's going on? The man stared at Su Rong seriously. Tell me what's going on. What did you do in private? Brother Zhang, it's not what you think. Su Rong's face was full of, I can explain. But he couldn't explain anything. The Cheongsam man didn't speak. This wasn't the time for him to speak. Ning Shu ate a grape and winked at the Cheongsam man. The Cheongsam man also winked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu suddenly felt a chill all over his body. Damn it. Su Rong opened his mouth and finally said with a dejected expression, Brother Zhang, I was wrong. Brother Zhang was exasperated. Why are you so short-sighted? How much are those things worth? You've ruined your own reputation. Send these things back. Don't leave anything behind. Brother Zhang looked at Su Rong coldly, then turned to the Cheongsam man and said, How much did he take from there? He'll return it to you. Brother Zhang's expression towards Su Rong was not good, but towards the Cheongsam man, it wasn't much better. Strictly speaking, Brother Zhang's impression of the Cheongsam man was even worse. We're all in the same faction. If there's a problem, we can react directly. Doing such a thing makes people unhappy. People in the same faction should be united. What's the meaning of scheming against each other? Brother Zhang said coldly. Was he using a borrowed knife to kill someone, or was he using the faction to punish Su Rong? The Cheongsam man's expression also became serious. Even if I say it, it's all bark and no bite. The Cheongsam man said directly, If the faction can't tolerate me, I'll leave the faction. Anyway, I'm just an insignificant person to the faction. Insignificant person. Brother Zhang's expression became ugly. Are you threatening me? Everyone knows whether there's anything in your box or not. I haven't even made a fuss about it. What do you want? If he left this time, everyone would follow suit. After all, this Su Rong had taken a lot of things. If those people all said that they wanted to leave the faction, it wouldn't be a good thing for the faction. These people were equivalent to building up the faction piece by piece. The Cheongsam man was very strong at this time. You don't blame him for stuffing his own pockets, but you blame me. If it weren't for the fact that I had no other choice, would I use this method? I want to leave the faction. The Cheongsam man said firmly. The Cheongsam man who had been sloppy before was now bursting with manliness. It seemed that the Cheongsam man had a purpose in mind. Chapter 3488. Su Rong's expression was very ugly. I will return the item to you. Are you done yet? I didn't say anything when you schemed against me. You want to leave the faction? Once you joined the faction, you couldn't leave easily. Otherwise, the faction would be like a market. Anyone could come and go. What a joke. The Cheongsam man grinned. Should he be grateful for Su Rong's magnanimity? He was relatively weak in the faction. Su Rong didn't receive any punishment at all. He just said that he would return the item and it would hurt him a little. At most, he would restrain himself in the future. Moreover, it didn't mean that Su Rong wouldn't take revenge in private. Since things had already come to this, the Cheongsam man might as well offend him to the end. Moreover, the Cheongsam man didn't believe that Su Rong would let it go just like that. Brother Zhang narrowed his eyes. Are you trying to get the item back or are you trying to leave the faction? The Cheongsam man said, I don't want the item anymore. I want to leave the faction. Is that okay? Brother Zhang shook his head. The faction isn't a game. You join when you need it. You leave when you feel that it's a burden. You've taken advantage of everything. The Cheongsam man was speechless. I've taken advantage of them. I've never taken advantage of a faction before. A faction needs money to maintain itself, and I've never given them less. I didn't say anything and just handed them in. Then, I received some information from the faction like a grandson. Why are you suddenly saying that I've taken advantage of everything? Moreover, I've never said which faction I'm a member of. Unless it's a last resort, I won't trouble the faction when I encounter something. Basically, I don't rely on the faction for protection. Instead, I'll run back and forth if something happens to the faction. So, now you want to label me as an ungrateful person. I don't think I've done anything wrong to the faction. The Cheongsam man said so much in one breath. His tone was so aggrieved that Brother Zhang didn't know what to say. Su Rong's expression was ugly. Fuck, he wanted to leave the faction and use him as a shield. What a good idea. Fighting was not allowed within the faction. Since this guy wanted to leave the faction, he would be easy to deal with without the faction's rules in the future. Su Rong sneered and said to Brother Zhang, since his ambition is not here and he wants to fly, why force him to stay? Brother Zhang glanced at Su Rong. You caused such a mess. What right do you have to speak? You won't be able to escape punishment. None of them were easy to deal with. Brother Zhang said meaningfully to the Cheongsam man, you have to think carefully. If you leave the faction, you will be alone. In the faction, at least there are restrictions. Even if someone wants to deal with you, it won't be that easy. After all, it was not a big problem. Although the Cheongsam man was scheming against Su Rong, the premise was that Su Rong was not upright. Both of them were at fault. Furthermore, the man in the Cheongsam was a law incarnation. Furthermore, he owned a restaurant and had some connections. To the faction, staying in the faction was better than leaving. She was tasteless, but it was a pity to throw her away. It was better for her to stay in the faction. He would try his best to keep her. Of course, the man in the Cheongsam knew that if he left the faction, he would be alone and helpless. However, there were times when being in the faction was really helpless. He also knew that once he left the faction, there was a chance that Su Rong would take revenge. Without the faction suppression, Su Rong could do whatever he wanted. No matter how he looked at it, staying in the faction was the wisest choice. The man in the Cheongsam looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was eating melon seeds. He spread his hands and shrugged. Freedom had a price. Freedom was the most extravagant and unattainable thing. There were many kinds of freedom in the secular world. Freedom in the market, freedom to eat whatever you wanted, freedom in restaurants, freedom in cars, freedom in real estate, freedom in travel, freedom in education, freedom in nationality, freedom in work. Work was not for the sake of supporting one's family. Work was for personal interests and dignity. Ordinary people could only pursue so many things. It was difficult to achieve. Ordinary people could not even achieve one or two things. They did not need these freedoms. They were detached from these things. However, for people like them, freedom was even more difficult to obtain. If freedom did not come with a price, it would not be called freedom. From the perspective of seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages, it was best to let this matter go. Su Rong would not be able to take anything from the man in the Cheongsam in the future. Moreover, with the faction's suppression, even if he caused trouble, it would be some insignificant trouble. It would not be painful. Su Rong did not dare to make any big moves. This time, he would definitely be defeated. It all depended on the man in the Cheongsam's choice. If it was the Ning Shu of the past, he would also choose to let it go. After all, living was the most important thing. However, Ning Shu would not choose to do so now. After dying once, he had to have some goals in life. In the past, he could only be a coward without strength. Now that he had some strength, he naturally had to be arrogant and do something he wanted to do. Otherwise, what was the point of being strong? The man in the Cheongsam was also clear about the stakes, so he was probably in a dilemma now. Ning Shu was eating melon seeds as if nothing had happened. She could not give any opinions and would not participate in this matter. In case the man in the Cheongsam regretted it in the future and resented her in his heart. The friendship between gentlemen was as clear as water. The pursuit of something is painful and painful. The man in the Cheongsam smiled and said to Brother Zhang, "Thank you, Brother Zhang. This matter is my fault. According to the faction's rules, there is no place for people like me. Actually, I want to save some face and take the initiative to leave the faction. I feel that I have no face to stay in the faction. I think it is better for me to leave." Brother Zhang looked deeply at the man in the Cheongsam. He looked a little angry. He had already tried to persuade him to stay, but the man did not give him face. It was really annoying. He was slightly angry and his voice was cold. Since this is the case, the faction will not force anyone to stay. However, the faction is not a market. You can leave as you wish. There are no rules. Therefore, if you want to leave, you have to pay the price. The man in the Cheongsam cupped his hands. "Sorry, I was stubborn. I am willing to accept any punishment." Brother Zhang's conditions were harsh. 20 million merit points. 20 million merit points was not a low price. Ning Shu suddenly sneered. The faction made money like drinking water. Usually, the members of the faction would give a lot of tributes. Now, before leaving, they had to extort a lot. This was equivalent to leaving. They actually wanted a large sum of money as compensation. It was really interesting. Ning Shu's mocking laughter attracted the attention of Brother Zhang and Su Rong. The two of them looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu and Ning Shu were eating melon seeds at the side and did not interrupt. Now that he had mocked them, the two of them were unhappy. They were talking here. What did he mean by laughing suddenly? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.